Today on Homeworthy, we're exploring the homes of Atlanta's design trailblazers. Experience Rosé on tap in a gorgeous bungalow, step inside a maximalist English Tudor cottage brimming with color, and fall in love with a 1930s Georgian home with touches of English sensibility. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
Homeworthy, I'm Karen. Welcome to our home in Atlanta. Come on in, I want to show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, I'm Karen Mooney, and you are in my house in Atlanta, Georgia. I started out in the world as a graphic designer. That's what I was trained in, what I went to college for. And so I love design, but it wasn't necessarily interiors that I had a passion for. But I like balance and symmetry and all of those things, and that was all in my blood. And so about 23 years ago, I was looking for a job, and I knew about Ballard Designs. It's an Atlanta company, and I'm from Atlanta. And they were looking for an art director, and that was just perfectly up my alley. And I loved the aesthetic of the brand, and I knew it well. And so I was excited to apply and be in a company that not only I was good at what I did, but I loved the product around me too. I find that really makes my day so fulfilling every day for the last 22 years. And so I went to Ballard and worked there, started as art director, and just really had a lot of curiosity about the way the business ran, and behind the scenes and the machinations of the marketing department and the circulation department and the merchandising department. And so over the years, I was really rewarded with growth through the company. And about 2 years ago, I became president of Ballard. So it's been a really fun journey. And like I said, there's nothing better than going to work every day and just loving all the stuff around you, plus the people around you. So I can't think, really honestly, of a better place to work. Welcome to our home. This is the foyer of our little 1920s bungalow, which really isn't much of a foyer. It leads right into our living room, but we try to space it off a little bit and keep it segregated with this big rug. So it was important to me to have lots of seating in here so that we can all sit around with all of our friends and have plenty of room for drinks and cocktails, and everybody's comfortable. And I'm always really careful that there's a table real close for your drink. And I really don't want people to be worried about coasters and all of that. So I try to keep surfaces as family friendly as possible, like this sofa. Okay, so don't freak out. I've got 2 boys, they're pigs, like all boys are. And they bring all their friends over and they put their sneakers up on here. But this is Sombrella fabric, and it has really been amazing. I bet this thing is 5 years old, and anytime anything happens to it, recently a big old cup of coffee was spilled on it. Wasn't me. Just unzipped that, threw it in the wash, put it back on, and it looks brand new. So don't be afraid of white, but I would say make sure you're getting some kind of easy care or high performance fabric if you're going to go that way. So other things in this room that I love, let's talk about these chairs over here. Check these out. So this is a weird little nook. A lot of houses that are old have like these little weird nooks and you don't know what to do with them. And this is probably the 3rd iteration of what I've done over here. I started with a big bookcase, and then I did a console with art. And finally I landed on a little bit more seating because that's what I wanted. And I lucked out because I found these very small, petite little chairs at a market in the south of France. And I don't speak French. So when we were negotiating, I thought that they kept saying that they were €2,000. And there was no upholstery, y'all. It was just kind of the frame and nothing. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't, $2,000. And then someone I was with was like, I think they're saying 200 euro, not 2,000 euros. So I was like, I'll take them. So these are a favorite find of mine. I brought them back and upholstered them in this beautiful linen by Suzanne Kassler that we do at Ballard. So, but again, look, a little table, you gotta have a little something for the drinks. And you'll notice, I mentioned I've been at Ballard for 100 years, but it's important to me that my house doesn't feel like I just picked it out of the showroom and brought it into the house. And so all over the house are little pieces of personality or things I've bought back from trips or things that are vintage, like this little table, that add just another level of fun to the room. You really just don't want everything to look brand new or that like it's from one spot. So I like to liven it up with just random things I find here and there all over the world. My whole house is pretty neutral. I used to think it was gray, but then I really started looking around and I realized it's really more taupe. So there's a lot of taupe in the house and whites and things like that. But over the years, I've gotten a little less afraid of color. So some of the bedrooms, as my children have moved out, have more color. One has a whole blush moment. The other is sort of navies and reds. And I'm really enjoying that. It sort of also is reflective in my wardrobe I found over the years. My wardrobe has been very neutral, but over the past several years, I've just had much more of an appetite for color. It's really making me happy. And so you'll see it layered in little bits around the house. Oh, wait till we get to the basement, and then you'll see a whole lot of color. So this is a 1920s bungalow in a neighborhood that's full of similar bungalow style houses in a little historic part of Atlanta called Virginia Highlands. And we moved here about 18 years ago, mostly because it's about a block away from this great intersection that has lots of restaurants and bars, and we just really wanted to have a walkable lifestyle in Atlanta. So most weekends we don't even get in our cars. We just walk around the neighborhood and enjoy what it has to offer. This house has really served our family so well over the years. We moved into it when we had small children and not a ton of money to renovate, and so we lived in it as it was for many years. And then as time went on and our needs changed and the children grew and we sort of saw the potential the house had, we did a couple different renovations, added a pool in the backyard, and really made it a family-friendly house that welcomed everybody in the neighborhood, but also really worked well for entertaining. We love to have people over. We love to cook. I can't imagine really a weekend without having someone drop in or a dinner party or grilling out in the back. It's really just a hub of entertainment for us, and it's worked so well for that. To me, it's such a welcoming and warm space. I want it to feel inspirational, but I definitely don't want it to ever feel intimidating or unwelcoming. I want it to be a place where you feel comfortable putting your feet up and having a beer and hanging out and chatting with your friends. So let's check out the sunroom. So this room has had so many iterations. I can't even tell you. When we first moved in, this was our family room. We didn't have any other rooms. It was the living room and this room. And so this is where we all four of us sat and watched TV, every night. And then as the house sort of morphed with us over the years and we added another family room, this became the kids' video game room. And so they were in here, every night playing video games till 2 in the morning, as teenage boys do. And then during COVID, I kicked them out and made this my home office and made them take the video games up to their bedrooms because it's such a beautifully lit room. I wanted to take advantage of the sunlight, and really, if I was going to be here working all day, I really feel like having windows around you makes you feel better while you're working. So this became my office and still functions as my office now. I probably work from home 3 days a week, and so I just kind of slide up right here to this console and bring in a dining room chair and work right there, and it works perfectly for me. And then take the laptop down and take it into the office when I'm not working, and it's, it functions as another little TV room for us. And beautiful light, like I said. I've got hidden little, let me show you this. So I was interviewing an interior designer one time. We were talking about Roman shades. And I told you I love to copy good ideas. Like I don't have any of my own, I just take them from everyone else. So this designer was saying, look, there's just no way to make Roman shades that aren't gonna break. No matter how expensive you get or how inexpensive you get, the up and down of that Roman shade will just break. So what he told me to do was do a faux Roman shade and then do little blinds behind. So I did. Look, I got little like $20 blinds that go behind. So if you're in here in the day and you want to watch TV, you just pull those down and then they just go up easy peasy like that. So practical. I love it. So I have a mix of faux plants and real plants in the house. I like to grow flowers outside. I'm not great at it, but I like to try. So I have a smattering of those around the house. But we travel a lot, and so house plants don't always tend to live. And so I am not afraid of a beautiful faux plant. So I've got one in here from Ballard that it looks so real. People always comment on it. I've got some silk hydrangea here that I just love them with the room because of the palette. And then over here, I've got some eucalyptus that are fake. And to me, like, you can't tell really eucalyptus from fake eucalyptus. And they look great year round. Sometimes I put that as a centerpiece. Sometimes I stick it in the corner to fill a hole. Sometimes it goes on the mantle. You can just drag it around and use it anywhere. So I am not at all afraid of faux greenery. I think it's a smart choice. I sit around lots of spaces in the house a lot. So I will go and sit in a nook and see how it feels and how is the lighting and is there a spot for my drink or where am I going to put my feet up, or is the person who's going to sit next to me going to be close enough to me? And I adjust. And you know, it's still going on today, but I make sure too that the things that people sit on are durable. I don't want to be nervous, and I don't want them to be nervous about the fabric or finishes or whatever. I make sure that it's very family friendly in the construction of the stuff, but also sort of the layout of everything needs to feel comfortable and be welcoming. So let's head to the dining room. Like I mentioned, we love to entertain, and to me, the best dining experience is around a round table because everyone is equal around a round table. You know, no one can really dominate the conversation. Everyone can hear a little bit better. This table seats 6. I literally had to count my own chairs. It seats 6, but I have this really cool extender that folds out and goes on it, and it expands the seating to 12. So I can seat 12 people in here, which is wonderful for the holidays. And I had a big tablecloth made for it that's a big zebra print, so it's, you know, kind of a fun, exciting vibe. And I just love it. The other thing I want to show you in here is what I did with these chairs because, like I said, family friendly. So I had them upholstered with a pleather. So I'm telling you, you cannot destroy these things. I had just a cream fabric for years, and I was like, you know, that's not wearing so well. So when I had them redone, I decided to just go full on family friendly with pleather, which I think is pretty smart if you ask me. The other thing I want to point out in the dining room is that I have a lot of surfaces that can easily change into a bar or a buffet. So, you know, you move these 3 things and you've got, maybe you want to put all of your desserts here that you can easily access while you're eating your dinner. Or maybe this is where all the drinks go. Often the table gets so full with the food, there's not room. Or over here, you know, same thing. Maybe it could be stunning to set this up as a bar, self-serve bar, so when people come over, they can do their own drinks while you're doing other things. You don't have to wait on everyone hand and foot all the time. Oh, look at this, you guys. This is pretty cool. You might not be able to see it, but this is my great-great-grandparents' wedding certificate that I had framed from Germany. So I just think it's so beautiful, and I love mixing things like that into the house, you know, things that, you know, it's not art, but to me it's so sentimental and it's so beautiful and it adds such a nice layer to the room. And I like that it's stuck behind this thing. I think it kind of adds an interesting little moment. I love animal print. I wear it all the time. There's probably some in every room of my house, and I have heard the rule that you're only supposed to have 1 animal print in a room, but I actively defy that. So the rug in this room has a leopard border and a leopard center. So I have these pillows that I love. I got these at Ballard years ago, but I've been in love with them for years. And they're, you know, they're really bold, but to me, honestly, in my mind, animal prints function as a neutral. I think they look amazing with a stripe, with a plaid. I mean, I can't really think of anything I wouldn't put an animal print with. It's sort of a problem. This gentleman gets a lot of commentary. People ask me all the time, oh my gosh, where did you get that? And to me, this is one of those things you bring into a house that's gonna add some personality, right? I found it in a vintage store. He has 4 heads or faces, maybe more. He's got a lot of noses. But it's just cool, right? It's just something that you're not gonna be able to find when you go out shopping on, in the mall or online. I really think it's important to nab those little things that speak to you when you're out and about and you're like, oh man, I love that. That's so cool. I haven't seen anything like that. Grab it, take it home, find a special spot for it. Yeah, he can't get enough attention. So this is a fun little piece, and I'll talk about these things. So I find it really interesting over time when you are drawn to things, how collections sort of come together. So I bought these 2 things, like 5 years ago on some trip to LA. And then I found this thing like 3 years ago at a market in France. And then someone gave me these for Christmas 2 years ago. And somehow, it all just comes together when you find things you love. And, I always try to cast a fresh eye around the house and see what I've got and realize, oh, look, those 3 things would really look fabulous together. If they weren't living together in a collection like this, I don't think they'd have the same kind of impact that they do when they're all like that together, grouped. And so, I encourage everyone to just, and myself, to keep an eye out for what you're drawn to and what you already have and what might really work well together with what you already own. So this, I really like pieces that function as well as look good, right? So this fits this space perfectly, but the important thing to me is that it has lots of storage. So I have a pressure cooker. If any of you have a pressure cooker, you know that they're ginormous. And so this thing fits my pressure cooker perfectly, and it lives in there. And then all the other space I use for booze and mixers. And so when we're setting up that DIY bar and people come over, it's all easily accessible right in here. I pull it out, set up a beautiful bar. And then the bottom shelves hold oversized platters and an extra set of flatware that I have. So form and function all together. Has to work. So here we are in the kitchen, which, I think for most people is the heart of the home. When we moved in, this was much different. It had an octagonal island right here, very, very weird. And so, but, like I said, we lived with it for many years while we figured out what was the best way to function in the space. Not just how it was going to look, but how was it going to function for us as a family. And so we ended up changing this into a family room and kitchen. This room back here used to be my son's bedroom. But we didn't have a way to get to the backyard. And we have a pool in the backyard. And so literally you had to walk down our driveway, out the front door, down the driveway, around back to get to the pool. And so I labored for years, I'm not kidding, over what's the best way to get to the backyard because I didn't really want to take his bedroom. Could we go out the side of the kitchen? Could we, there aren't many options. And so finally we were like, we're going to have to do it. So we ended up incorporating his room into the kitchen and made a keeping room and a kitchen. And it really functions beautifully because, everyone sits here, there are bar stools, we work, we chat, but you're not super into the mess of the kitchen. And then it's also super convenient to the dining room, so it's nice. Let me show you the things that I sort of saved on and the things that I splurged on. So if you look over here, this is a long run of cabinetry that holds all of our dishes, food, everything, is because we have no upper cabinets on the upper side of the kitchen, just on this side. All of the cabinetry in the kitchen is actually IKEA cabinetry. And so definitely where I saved, I bought the wood cabinetry and then I had it all painted professionally. And so it really has functioned well. I feel like it's been more than 10 years that I've had it, 15 years, and it's been lovely. But then I splurged on this, I think, beautiful tile that to me, I still love it. I love the gray and white, as you can tell. It's a little problem. And then my countertops, back to being family friendly. Like, I just don't think I could live with a marble countertop because it's too alive for me. You know, I'd be constantly wiping up the lemon juice and the marinara and the red wine. And so instead we got the quartz Caesar stone countertops, and I have been so pleased. They, to me, still look brand new and function so well, and clean up super easy. So great choice as far as I'm concerned. We did put in this butcher block between the sink and the stove, and we actually use it as a butcher block. We oil it and use it as a, I don't put raw meat on it, but you know, veggies and things like that, we chop right on here. It's definitely worn with age, and I just love that. You know, it's a kitchen that's used and loved, and it's got memories all over it, and I just think that's beautiful. Oh, look, a live plant. I have one or two in the house. So this is where we spend a whole lot of our time. This is what is now our family room. And you know, this is the kids' favorite chair. And when I talked about that zebra tablecloth, it's the same exact fabric. So when I fall in love with something, I guess I can't get enough of it. Again, a sunbrella fabric, just like that white sofa in the living room, which I think is great for the tablecloth as well, because it's super durable. It's not going to stain. If you're spending all that money to have a tablecloth made, you want to make sure it's going to last you a lot of years. And then, you know, the other thing about it is, you know, when you have teenagers sitting here eating pizza, same kind of thing. You wipe it off and it's clean. And the other thing is it doesn't fade in the sun. So this room gets a lot of sun, and so the pattern doesn't fade, and just continues to look great after all these years. I love a swivel chair too, because you can talk, you can watch TV. It's perfect, right? I just love it, and it's super comfy. So this is another morning spot for me. Oh, let's talk about this mirrored wall. So like I said, I live in Atlanta, in the city, and so I have a neighbor probably 15 feet from me, 20 feet, and this used to be, there was a window here, but when we were doing the room, I knew that I didn't want to be looking out that window at my neighbor all the time. But it was important that the room still felt light, and I wasn't sure how light I could keep it without having a window here. So I decided I would put these antique mirrors in to kind of reflect the light around the room, as well as just make it feel bigger and more open. And I've been really pleased with it, and people are like stunned. They're like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. But it was very simple to do, simple to execute, and I really feel like we got a lot of bang for the buck for that idea. Now, you'll notice like these windows that face out back, I don't have any drapery back here. I felt like it would be too much in the room, just crowd us in a little too much. I wanted it to feel really open to the backyard and to the activities that were going on out there. So I kept these intentionally bare for the room. So I want to take you down to the basement, one of my favorite spots in the house. My husband wanted to put in an Irish pub, but I intervened, and we got something a little more special down there. Come on. On the way to the basement, we have to pass through this little hallway, which I have intentionally shoved full of stuff. So let's talk about it, right? This might be the first bit of color you've seen in the house. This was a piece of art given to me by Mike Devine, who is a local photographer and artist. And every year at Christmas, if you're really nice to him, he'll give you a piece of art. So I framed this myself. And I just love this little pop of orange. So I partnered it with this, which is sort of it's a knockoff of a harvest basket that people put over their backs when they gather grapes or something in the south of France. But then I put, look, y'all, this is huge, right? I bought this, I fell in love with it, and literally couldn't find a place in my house it would fit except here. And I love the idea of putting something so incredibly oversized in such a small space. It's very unexpected, but it brings a lot of drama to what otherwise would be just a moment that you walk by. So I've kind of put a lot of things in here, but I think the monotony of color, except for the orange, really kind of ties it all together and makes it sort of a seamless entrance into the house, where you kind of get it sort of a hint of the expectation of what you're going to see everywhere else. So let's go. There's lots of art on the walls on the way down, and I intentionally painted this stairwell really dark because I wanted everyone to feel like they were entering another moment. I didn't want it to feel at all like you were staying where you were. We were going somewhere new. Come on. So So this is not an Irish pub, as you can well guess. When my husband's like, I really want to build an Irish pub in the basement, let me tell you what, it was a cement, dirt basement, and I did not see his vision and didn't appreciate it either. But then I got my head around it and I was like, you know what, that could be really cool to have something down there and really make it a place to lounge and hang and party by the pool. And so we dug out a bunch of dirt and made this little basement. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of awesome. I've got this big giant bar that houses anything you can possibly imagine. But the best part about, I think, the whole space is the kegerator, which not only has beer for the beer drinkers, but also has rosé on tap. Let's have a glass. Left for lager, right for rosé. Cheers. So we actually call this bar Frenchie's on the Waterfront. It's named after our dead French bulldog, Mr. French, who still lives with us in our hearts. And it's on the waterfront because it's by the pool. So welcome to Frenchie's on the Waterfront. So you'll definitely notice that there's a totally different color palette down here. And since it's a basement and the ceilings are pretty low, like quite a few places down here I can touch the ceiling, and there's lots of ups and downs with ductwork. And so I decided I'm just going to paint the whole entire thing, every surface, this sort of peacocky blue, a shiny peacocky blue. I didn't lacquer it, I didn't go to that expense, but just a glossy blue that's everywhere. And you can see like lots of corners and edges and things, but it pulls the whole thing together to me and makes it feel very intimate. And in the summer it's cool, in the winter it feels very welcoming. It really just works and I love it. And you can also see a lot of other color that I put in the space. I really stuck with jewel tones and darker colors, lots of oranges and goldenrods and purples. They don't necessarily even go together, but in my mind, they were all of the sort of the same value, and I thought that they would work together, and it really all came together beautifully. You've probably noticed as we walked around that I've got a lot of art collections on the wall, and I love to group things together that are sentimental, but sometimes when you're starting a gallery wall like this, you don't have everything you need, but you know you want to do something, right? And so I started this wall with this poster, which is a vintage poster I got from my husband for his birthday because he's from New York. And it's a KLM poster, which is my initials, so I thought it was kind of cute. And it was the colors of the basement, even better. So I started with that, and then the rest of everything that I had hanging here in these spots was all art that I'd got at IKEA. But it was like the sizes and shapes that I wanted. And then over the years, what I've done is remove the piece of IKEA art and replace it with, like, for instance, this is something that I got in New Orleans where my son is in college on a weekend visit. But this, and this are still IKEA pieces that I have yet to replace. But as time goes on and I find the right things that fit there, I just pull those down and put something new up. So that's a great tip when you are building a gallery wall. It doesn't have to all start with something precious or everything have to be perfect. It can change over time as you find the things that you fall in love with. Let's look over here at the lounge area, which we spend a lot of time lounging down here. So I fell in love with a hotel in London called the Dean Street Townhouse. And it had a lot of this sort of navy peacock blue and also golden velvet and beautiful brown leathers. And I was like, I've got to have that. I got to figure out how to get that into my life. And so when we started building this space mentally, I was like, oh, a velvet banquette. And we have people in here in wet bathing suits all the time. And we eat down here all the time, have dinner parties down here, and it looks great. And this isn't a performance velvet or anything, it's just a velvet, and it's really performed well. And I've decided, just to let it all go mentally. It's okay. Like, what I really want is people to be comfortable and to live in the space and not worry about it. So the first time someone sat down in the red bathing suit, I was like, and then I was like, It's fine. You know, this home is here for us to live in, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna live in it and love it. So here's our beautiful velvet banquettes with some silk velvet pillows that bring out the same colors of the walls. A fun little llama from Anthropology brings it all together. And really, it's just a wonderful space. And I've got friends that have little kids who love to come and swim at the pool too. And they love this little spot right here. Look at these little vintage chairs I picked up. And again, trying to mix in something vintage with something new so it doesn't all feel like you picked it up at the same spot on the same day. But I loved the color. I thought the jewel tone of the purple was beautiful. It wasn't something I'd planned for, but when I saw it, I was like, you know what, that's gonna work down there. And the kids love sitting at this little low table. They pull this little stool out. Again, y'all, some more animal print. I can't resist. I told you, it's in every single room. But they sit here and they feast like they're kings and queens, thinking that this was made specifically for them, which I just love. Here is the most prized possession of my children in the home. If the home were to burn down, I think they would come and grab the PBR sign, which we actually got from a local bar restaurant here called Cow Tippers when it was closing for good. It was a sort of an establishment in town. So when it closed, we had some inside scoop and we were able to scoop this up and bring it home, and they just love it. And I just sort of think it sets the tone for the whole space as a place that you're here to have fun, relax, and have a good time and hang out with your friends with the king of beers. No, it's not the king of beers. It's the blue ribbon. You know what? I'm not a spokesperson for PBR. I feel like a lot of times people waste money on impulse purchases, and they'll see something that's on clearance or for sale. I do the same. I'm just as guilty. But if I know that, you know, I need a console here, or I'm going to need this size chair there, I can keep my eyes open and keep my wallet ready. But the other thing I think is important is to decorate the spaces you use the most. A lot of interior designers that I've spoken to in the past and worked with always say, oh, do your master suite, do your master bedroom, you know, you're there a lot and treat yourself and it's where you are at night. But for me, what I wanted was spaces where people were all the time. So the dining room, the kitchen family room, the living room where people sit, those are spaces that I needed to have at least functional pieces in right away. And the decorating, the layering, all of that can come, you know, over time. To me, it has to evolve over time, or else it looks like you went into a store and bought it all and, you know, maxed out your credit card and filled your house up. That is not what I want my home to feel like. I really want it to grow and be an expression of who we are as the family that lives in the house. So it takes time, but I would say start with the space that you are in the most. All right, so when we renovated the kitchen and took away my son's bedroom, we had to go up and add another bedroom and a guest room. So let's go up and check out that guest room that we made. Let me tell you about this little lady. So there's an artist, her name is Sally King Benedict. I love her. She's a local Atlanta lady. And I've been wanting a piece of her art for a very long time, but it is not inexpensive. And so instead she does these beautiful little silk scarves for a couple $100. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do that. I got that and I floated it in this acrylic frame and I got the whole same effect, a beautiful Sally King Benedict for a little less money. I'm on budget all the time. But let me just point out, this is one of the few faces you're gonna see in my house. I really don't like having family photos around. People think I'm like the meanest mom ever, but let me just say, I remember what my family looks like. I don't need them. I don't need them staring at me all the time, so you won't see any family photos around my house. It's just sort of a personal preference. So welcome to the guest suite. It's actually bigger than the master that we sleep in, but we decided that we wanted to stay on the main level so we could get out to the deck very easy, and this is reserved now for guests. And Bunny Williams taught me many years ago that in a guest room, you need to get into that bed, you need to sleep in that bed, you need to understand how it feels to be a guest in that room and accommodate accordingly. So I've slept in here many times to make sure that it's a comfortable bed, which it is. I get compliments all the time. The other thing Bunny taught me is buy some magazines for your guests, put them by the bedside table. She likes People, she really likes People magazine, but I have some home decor magazines that I like to tuck in here for folks to read while they're falling asleep at night. I even have a little speaker by the bed that you can Bluetooth into. And then across the room, I've got a coffee bar all set up. I'll show you. Come on over here. So I put a little coffee bar in the room because I personally cannot function in the morning without my first cup of coffee. And what guest wants to go downstairs in their jammies and find the host and get a cup of coffee? It's all right in here. I've got a coffee machine, a tea kettle, there's coffee bags and pods, of course coffee cups. I also outfit it with waters and wine when I have guests coming. So it's all inclusive and ready to go, but closes up beautifully as a little accent piece. The other thing that I made sure that we had in here were reading lights. So I've got these gooseneck lights that each person can control on their own so they can read without waking up the other person, which I think is very important. And then I installed, which I thought was a fun idea, a little picture light. This is really designed to go over art, but I thought it was a pretty little accent to put over the bed. And just takes no room and adds a little ambiance to the room. And you can see that I had these, bedside tables built in because I wanted to take the space for the room. I didn't want the wall to start here and lose a couple feet. I thought, why not just build it into the niche into the wall as we renovated? And so it really worked out beautifully. And then there's a lot of controversy over accent walls with wallpaper, but I did it, y'all. I did an accent wall with wallpaper and did just this one wall and inside the niches and behind the bed headboard. And I really think it turned out beautifully. I think it kind of brings the palette of the whole space together, but adds a little pattern so it's not super boring in here. This is a big piece of art that fits perfectly in this space, and you would have thought I purchased it for this space, which I did not. It's a great example of looking around your house and saying, do you have something that will work better somewhere else? So when I was renovating this room, this was actually in my son's bedroom, and he was heading off to college, and I was going to redo his room. So I was like, you know what? This works so much better down the hall in the other room. So I just took it, and it has a whole new life in here. And so that's just the great thing about things you love. Don't let them live in one place forever. Pick them up, take them somewhere else, and let them have a whole new life. So this is the guest room, bathroom, and it happens to be the only tub in the whole house. Everybody always says, oh, you have to have a tub for resale. And of course we were like, all right, we don't bathe, but all right, well, this is our tub for resale. And so it's, it's pretty luxurious spa-like bathroom, and the guests seem to love it. And I will note, again, more animal print. I can't seem to resist no matter what room I'm in. I've got to have a little bit of animal print. These are actually indoor-outdoor rugs that I decided would be a beautiful alternative to bath mats. So I put those in here. And the other thing that I've done in a couple bathrooms of our house is frost the glass for privacy. So I never really want anyone to have to worry about who's looking in on them or what's going on, or do I need to be worried about where the neighbor is right now. So just to make it easy for everybody and to keep the light coming in the space so you don't have to have drapery or shutters, I frosted the glass in 2 of our bathrooms, and it just makes it so simple and easy. And you still get to see all the greenery outside. And then for those who don't bathe, there's a beautiful shower with marble floors. But let me just tell you my secret about tile. So when we were renovating, I was really overwhelmed with the idea of picking tile for all the bathrooms. So there were 3 or 4 bathrooms that I had to pick tile for. And it's not my forte. I told you I like to copy people, but I didn't have enough energy then to figure all that out. And so what I ended up doing was just white subway tile in all of the showers, and then in each of the bathrooms I did a different floor to add a little personality to each of those bathrooms. So this was, a little sort of more sophisticated bathroom. We went with the gray herringbone tile. I have another one that's more of a traditional black and white hexagon tile, and I have one that's got white flat pebbles. And so each of them has their own personality, but it took a lot of the complication out of it for me. I love subway tile anyway. I think it's classic and will be beautiful forever. But each room has its own little vibe that's special to it. Home, comfort, family. I think comfort and family. Friends, of course, but to me, friends are often family. My friends I consider my family. So, but to me, if it's not comfortable, it's a failure.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Maggie and welcome to my Georgia home.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi everyone, my name is Maggie Griffin. I am an interior designer here in Gainesville, Georgia. So our house is a Tudor style home that we designed with an Atlanta architect, Greg Bush. We started the process back in 2021 and we're really able to be super hands-on on all of the things that we wanted for our family. We have 3 boys, so our house is 5 bedrooms and 6 baths. We were able to design it in a way that really suits the way that we like to live. And to me, that's my favorite part about our house. It's comfortable for myself, my husband, and our 3 boys. We found out that we were pregnant with our 3rd during the building process. So we were able to, during the framing portion of our build, add in a nursery for our baby who is almost a year old now. So this is a new build, so we were able to design it from scratch with our architect. When we started the process with him, we sat down and we had a priority list of all the things that we wanted for our home. One of which was our children to have their own bedrooms and bathrooms. We wanted a large kitchen to give us space to entertain with our family and friends. Our kids really wanted a playroom as well, and then we wanted adequate spaces to entertain outside. We have beautiful fall weather here in Georgia. I hope that it's around the corner for us. So we were really excited to add a big porch for us outside that I think we can stay, outside a lot during the winter months too. It's right off of our pool area. So the kids all summer long have been in the pool and out, and we eat outside, and it has just been so wonderful to be able to give that to our kids. And it's been a really busy summer with all of the neighborhood kids coming over, but it was a great addition to our house. Welcome to our foyer. Here in our home, this space is right off of the front of the house, and it's a small space that kind of introduces you to the style of our home. We have a great, beautiful archway here that kind of ties into our Tudor vibe. And I love that we incorporated some of the moldings that, to me, remind me of that Tudor style without being too dark or heavy. So right off of the foyer, we have our study. This space is very cozy to me, and I loved the thought of a space that was, again, cozy and kind of moody, like the Tudor style, but also sort of our modern interpretation of that. We are a family of 5. We have 3 young boys, and I didn't want anything in our home to feel too precious or unapproachable, but wanted everything to feel cozy and comfortable. So this space is, again, right off of the foyer of our home, and in here we have comfy seating for my husband. He loves to nap here on the weekends. If one of our children just needs a minute by themselves, my middle child usually will come in here and just take a beat. But then I find myself too coming in this space at nighttime if I need to read something for school for the boys or check a couple of emails over the weekend. But it has been such a cozy spot for us. And again, it is smaller, so I feel like it's been great for the kids to use too. So I chose the color Deep Olive for the walls in this room because I loved the moody vibe that it gave. The fabric on the window treatments is a fabric that I had been wanting to use forever. And so I pulled that beautiful kind of olive green color from the drapery fabric. It's one of my favorite beautiful hand-blocked linens from Lee Joffa, and it incorporates a lot of these moody colors that you'll see throughout our house. I've incorporated a lot of our artwork in this space too that is several different styles. That's my favorite thing to do, is to mix styles. And so even here I've got a beautiful print that belonged to my mother-in-law. I've got a lovely painting of New Orleans that I bought from a street artist. And then I have this fun kind of chinois watercolor as well that I actually have a pair of, because what's better than one? A pair. And then I pulled in lots of contemporary things too. Even though the room to me feels very traditional, we have lots of moldings on the walls. We've got the deep color and leather, but I also love incorporating cleaner lines to mix with some of my more traditional pieces. So the burl tables on each end of the sofa to me are a fun little contemporary sleek vibe. I love a Parsons style. And then these great lamps from Visual Comforts that seem to move all over my house because I love them so much. So when I was choosing the sofa fabric for this particular room, I was really excited to go a little bit more bold on my color choice. And I found this beautiful paprika colored velvet and added a great bullion trim around the bottom of the sofa. To me, it speaks very much to my traditional heart, but I also love that it feels modern and classic at the same time. So the items on my coffee table are changing all the time. Right now I have a collection of books, several of which I've been featured in, and then also some pieces that I've picked up on our travels. We've got this beautiful oyster shell that came from Florida from a recent trip we just took, a beautiful silver dish that belonged to my mother-in-law, and then a hydrangea arrangement because we are in the height of hydrangea season here in Georgia. They are everywhere and they are beautiful. Right here near the hearth of our study is this little Chinese chair that I love anything chinois. You're going to see a lot of that around the house. I actually have a set of 6 of these, so they're kind of dispersed all over, but a friend of mine just sent me this adorable needlepoint pillow. It says, "The best things in life are free and the second best are very expensive." And I just thought that that was the cutest thing she sent me. She knows me very, very well. I love a little touch of animal print. So in this room, we have a great antelope rug, and it's one of my favorite things to use, especially with kids in the house, because the spots are a great way to disguise things. If something did happen, then a little spot just becomes another spot. But one of my favorite pieces in the whole room is the painting above the fireplace. And I love a little contemporary vibe. I think that it adds a lot of depth to the room, but it also keeps things from feeling too serious. And then of course, a couple of built-in bookshelves house lots of our treasures. My husband and I both love to read, and so, I love a collection of books. We have tons of coffee table books around, but we love novels, and this is a lot of those that we just kind of have moved from house to house, but also incorporating, like I said, a lot of our treasures. I have some really talented friends who are artists, and this is one of my friends. Her name is Leanne O'Brien. She's painted some beautiful watercolors for me. You'll see these are some shells from a couple of trips of ours recently to Florida. And then a lot of things that I've just kind of picked up along the way or inherited. This beautiful little wooden dish was something that was my mother-in-law's, and I just think that's so sweet and special. But then also, this is something I've just picked up at Home Goods. So I like to mix things in my home, and this is an antique biscuit jar, but also we've got a little Home Goods find and then an inherited piece. So when I chose the color for this particular room, I wanted the space to feel very cozy. And so I did opt to paint the ceiling as well, and you can see there's a tongue and groove on our ceiling that is painted the same color as our walls and the moldings. But I did want that to kind of be, this room to be its own space. So I love that I incorporated that ceiling color here, but to me, it just makes it feel like its own room. Each room should feel like an experience of its own. And so I did not do that in other places in the house, but I will show you a couple more where I did. So growing up, I grew up in a small town in middle Georgia. It was an agriculturally based city, and we drove really out of town for everything. So my mom and my 2 grandmothers, they loved creating a home. They loved, changing things around, decorating. And so we would drive to the big city of Atlanta to go shopping pretty regularly, and they always took me along. whether that was to see show houses, to shop for antiques, to meet with their decorator. And it was something that just sort of was instilled in me really early on. I had, of course, like most little girls, I had an outside playhouse that I would spend days, all day long in, hours. And I would rearrange it, and I would just, do these little creative things to kind of make it a home for myself. And then I also had, the Barbie dollhouse, and I had a Victorian dollhouse. And it was just something that I could spend hours doing. I loved it. I loved setting up a house. I loved changing things. I loved decorating for, a season or setting a table. And so as time went on, it was something that I shadowed a local designer in high school. And then when I went to the University of Georgia, I decided that I wanted to pursue a degree in psychology. So I zipped through that major, and I looked up and I said, oh my goodness, I don't know that I want to do this forever. I don't know that I really want to hear about other people's problems. And so I decided to add on a major in furnishings and interiors. And guess what? I still listen to people's problems, but it's in a way that I can help them fix, and nurture the way that they want to live with their family. My psychology degree has been so instrumental in my career, and over time my business grew. I went from doing, small projects with friends and family into kind of our building boom that has recently, in Georgia, we've had a huge building boom in the past 10 years, and especially in the area that I live, it's growing. We have industry coming here, and we also have a giant second home market that's very nearby to where I am. We're in the North Georgia mountains, so we're close to mountain homes, we're close to second lake homes, but we're also not very far from beaches. And so certainly during, the pandemic years, the second home market just really exploded for us. So now that you guys have seen our study, I would like to show you our dining room that's on the other side of our foyer. The centerpiece of this room is a beautiful English reproduction table. It's a reproduction antique, and I love the oval shape because I can squeeze so many people around this table. Right now it's set for 6, but I've had as many as 12 around this table. So it's a space that we can have our supper club over, but we also spend a lot of time in this room building Legos. As you can see over here, these are some of my son's treasures. And so I told him that he could leave them out. I think they're very impressive. This is one of our newer ones. And so I told him that it was okay to leave those out for the shoot. This particular piece is another piece that belonged to my mother-in-law. And it's filled with silver that came from my grandmother's, my mom, my mother-in-law. And I love that it's got this beautiful fretwork detail here on the glass doors. And so I can see everything that's inside of it. And I can pull and I move things around our house. I just love that so much. And over this particular piece is a contemporary painting. It's a modern abstract by a friend of mine. Her name is Allison James, and she and I grew up together, and she is very talented. But as you can see over that painting is a beautiful painting by my son Henry. He did, it's a pastel of Starry Night, and I love that he can see that it's important to me to have that in this room too. This piece also belonged to my mother-in-law, and I love that I have so many pieces around our home that remind me and my husband of her. It was in their dining room for his whole life, and it holds a lot of things, and I love that you can see it right when you walk into our home. But on here are 2 lamps that I found secondhand. I got them for a steal, and then I put a nice new pleated shade on those. So again, I love to mix things in my home, but to me, the most standout thing in our dining room is the beautiful mural on the walls. It's a chinoiserie mural that I chose from Schumacher, and believe it or not, it was one of the last pieces I chose for our house. And I think that it was something that I wanted to do a mural in this room, but it was something I was really wrestling with, finding the right one. And when I came across this one, it had just gone into production and it really pulled all of the colors together that we have used in our home. I love that it felt like a warm hug when you walked in here. The dark brown background with some of the shades of salmon pink and the teals. I just love the way that it gave this room a feel of an escape, but also kept things really cozy. One of my other favorite things in this room are my pair of built-in china cabinets. They're on either side of our front window, and I am a collector. I love to collect antique china, I love linens, I love flatware, and so this was a great way for me to store all of those items that I love to collect, but also they were kind of hidden. I love playing with tablescapes. I love looking into my napkin drawers and figuring out, okay, let's use this great looking cocktail napkin for this party and let's set the table with this one. So all of these are chock full of all of my things that I love to set my tables with. So of course I love my blue and white, and I reach for this set quite often. It's nothing fine, but I have a set of 24 of these plates, which is wonderful when hosting a big group. I keep all my blue and white here on our bottom shelf because it's probably the set that I grab the most. But one of my other favorite sets are my mother-in-law and father-in-law's wedding china. It's a beautiful pattern that I haven't run across very often, but it's got this gorgeous kind of seafoam green around the border with a touch of gold and white. And it's really one of my favorite things to mix with my more formal china that is by Mataheta. And I just thought that this was the most beautiful combination. And I love the history of using something that belonged to my in-laws. If we are hosting a dinner party, my go-to is usually a meat that my husband can grill. And then I'll do something like a fresh seasonal salad, and then usually something like a pasta on the side. We always have, cheese and charcuterie out for our guests when they come. But to me, it's so much more about being together. And so if we're hosting a dinner party, sometimes I'll even just order pizza, but we make it feel special by using our nice china and our nice linens. These chairs are so comfortable, and it's really important to me, especially in my own home, but I also encourage my clients to have a chair around your dining table that encourages your guests to stay for a little while, to linger around the table. And so I love that these have a nice upholstered back, they have an upholstered seat, and I've always loved a slipper chair look. But I will let you in on a little secret. These are from World Market. I bought them for a steal ages and ages ago and have had them recovered several times. But to me, the frame was great, and I still love the scale of the chair. The seat is nice and wide, and so, again, kind of mixing high-low. It's what I could do at the time, but now they're covered in this beautiful kind of apricot velvet, and I think that they look so great with our wallpaper. So coming from our dining room, you enter into our bar area, which I love that it's so close to the dining space because of proximity while we're entertaining, but it also houses my barware collection. So behind our glass doors, we have all of our barware. We've got our champagne coupes, our stemmed wine glasses, our stemless. I love that it's just all right here for when I'm setting my tables. We have a sink in this space too, which I'm big on having a sink in any space that you can, especially when you are entertaining and you have all these dishes at the end of the night. But one of our favorite things we incorporated into this space are a pair of dishwasher drawers, because at the end of any dinner party, we always had all of these wine glasses that needed to be hand washed or we'd have to wait. So having a pair of these dishwasher drawers right here has been so convenient. It's right beside our ice maker, which has been so great too, especially filling up sports bottles for our boys and coolers for the weekend. But then we also have this great wine fridge. It houses white and red, and then underneath is a pair of refrigerator drawers, which has been great for things like our seltzer waters and just LaCroix and all the things that we can tell our guests, hey, go grab that from the wet bar, it's right there. My favorite thing about my home is that we were able to design it specifically for us. I loved that my two oldest boys, who are now 10 and almost 7, were very vocal about things that they wanted in our house. They wanted a playroom, they wanted space for their friends to come over, they wanted certain aspects of their rooms to be incorporated, and also they really, really wanted the pool. I love that we were able to really take those little nuggets from them and then from houses that my husband and I have had over the past 15 years of our marriage. You know, this was our first new build together, but we have renovated several houses. I think we're at maybe 9 together with second homes and with primary residences. So he and I had a wish list of things that we love from that house here and love from that house there. And so I love that we were able to incorporate all of those things into this one home for us. I had a glass front pocket door for my pantry in a house that we had a couple of years ago, and it was one of my favorite things. I loved that you could kind of see through the glass, but also, you know, we could hide messes around the corner. But we chose this beautiful white oak door to slide back so that when we are entertaining, this space can be open. When we were designing this house, this room was probably what gave me the most sleepless nights. I really labored over all of the spaces, the cabinetry in this room. I wanted a place for all of my things. So you'll see we've got food storage here. I've got my vase storage, my cookbooks, and then this wall from of entertaining supplies too. That is really one of my favorite ways to start a table. You've seen where I pull my linens and then my china. But then here I've got all of my glassware that's not associated with my bar in one place. So these are the water glasses, the juice glasses, things that have been gifted to me over the years and things that I've picked up along the way. One of my favorite sets is this set of little juice glasses that my best friend has been living in Germany for the past 4 years, and she sent this to me as a gift a few holiday seasons ago. One of my other favorite sets is this great looking set from Bunny Williams that looks like tortoise ware. And to me, it just adds such a great texture and color to a tabletop. Another favorite set are these fun little chinoiserie water glasses that have this great little pagoda on them. I think they add such a little touch of whimsy onto a tabletop too. But this is a great place for me to start a color scheme, you know, when I'm pulling for my tabletop pieces. I love, you know, you can see I have a lot of this beautiful shade of turquoise and aqua. It's one of my favorite colors to use on a tabletop. But then in this particular room, I also incorporated another set of, this is a refrigerator drawer that's got bottled waters. And then this is a freezer drawer for all of the neighborhood children who come in needing a snack in the afternoons. I have a large vase collection. Arranging flowers is something that is almost like therapy to me. I love arranging flowers. It's one of my favorite things to do. I love pulling things from the yard. Most everything that's here in our home right now did just come from, you know, either my house or a neighbor's house. And I love just pulling things that are green, and I can just, you know, go outside and gather some clippings and make just a beautiful arrangement. This is one of my favorite vases. I bought this in a museum shop last summer in New York. I love museum shops because they always have quirky little things that you don't find in any other place, but I just thought this was so beautiful, and it's quite heavy. Mercury glass has always been a favorite of mine too because it adds a little sparkle to a table, and I find myself using it a lot during the holiday season. These vases back here belong to my husband's grandmother, who I knew my whole life, and I think they're so sweet. It's amazing that they've survived all of this time, but they have this beautiful little etched flower on them, and so they're great for something that's a couple of stems. You know, tulips look really pretty in these, and so I have the two taller ones, and then this small one too that's got this great little etching on it. The artwork in this room are really some of my most treasured pieces in our house. In this corner, you can see I've got these fun little acrylic boxes that I had made for several of the pieces that have been handed down to us. So up at the top, that is it's a paddle for making homemade pasta that we got on a trip to Italy a couple of years ago with our boys. And then the fun little oil painting is something I picked up from an antique mall. And then we've got two biscuit cutters, one that belonged to my husband's grandmother, which I just think is so sweet and special, and this one belonged to my husband's mom. I had a local framer build the acrylic boxes for me because they are treasures to me and really just tell a story of the generations of women in our family who have really taught us so much about how to create a home. This other piece is my oldest son Henry's little corn husk doll that I just thought was so sweet. He made that at school and I wanted him to know that it meant a lot to me. Now that you've seen our working pantry, you then go through this small vestibule and into our mudroom, which was a huge necessity for us when we were building and designing this house. With 3 boys and my husband and I, we just needed a place where we could come in the back door at the end of the day and put our things away. As a mom, I needed the organization. So we designed these large lockers, and each one of us in the house has one. So we've got, a big locker with some great hooks inside of it, sports equipment, all the things that we can grab on our way out the door, backpacks, and then everyone has their own drawer where they can stow away their shoes at the end of the day, and hopefully it stays neat for me. This was also a room where I needed to have a desk space. So in order to help my kids with their homework in the afternoons, write a quick note. So everything else was designed with that in mind. And then I also keep little craft supplies readily available for the kids too. Welcome to our kitchen. This room is truly the heart of our home, and we are in this space all the time. My husband and I are both cooks, so this room was really important to us when we were planning all the different things that we like to cook, how we like to function in the kitchen, but it also, I wanted it to have some of those little Tudor nods like I've been talking about around our house. So one of those was choosing the darker color for the cabinets. I chose this really interesting layered grayish that to me kind of looks like a cool shade of mushroom gray with a little green, some brown. And then I mixed it with the antique brass hardware, which is one of my favorite ways to keep things feeling warm and still kind of fresh and modern. So in this space, we chose a large range because we both love to cook on gas. And then we hid all of our other appliances behind cabinet panels. So over here we have our large refrigerator where we have all of our produce and all of the things that we use to prepare our meals. And then we kind of tucked away our freezer over here behind another cabinet panel. I wanted a huge island so that we could all sit here together. And this is really where we share most of our family meals. I chose a hardworking quartzite for the countertops because to me it looks like marble, but it doesn't have all of the maintenance that marble requires. And then I chose a different quartzite in a darker finish for the perimeter cabinets. They are both leathered, so that means that they're not shiny. And I love that I don't have to worry about spills or staining or any of those things like you would with any other natural stone on the countertops. A big sink was a must-have for us, and then we also incorporated 2 dishwashers. We cook a lot, so we always have dirty dishes, and this is truly a lifesaver for us. So right off of our kitchen is our family room. These were 2 spaces that I wanted to feel like they were one space, but also I could have some friends around our island, and then we could also have friends here over in the fireplace area. So this is one big space that allows us to have lots of people here at once, and everyone kind of has some elbow room. So over here, I designed 2 different sitting areas inside of one larger sitting area. This has been my favorite arrangement that I have ever done in any of our houses with our furniture. So right here, I have a cozier little spot with a sofa and 2 chairs and its own coffee table. And then right here in front of the fireplace is another sitting area. So it allows you to have 2 conversations perhaps going on at once, or it allows you to have a lot of people in one room and everyone has a comfortable place to sit. So we're really looking forward to the colder months that are coming up so that we can turn on our fireplaces and we can kind of gather here when it's too cold to be outside. So in this room, I did a large, almost wall-to-wall jute rug. And again, I layered an older Ushak on top of it for that kind of lovely texture that comes from the old rug and the new rug. And it gives each space kind of its defined area. Over here towards the fireplace, I've got a pair of leather chairs that are just wonderful because they keep looking more and more handsome the more and more worn in that they get. And then I have this old large bench that was my grandmother's that I had recovered in this cool Suzanne that I found years and years ago. To me, it adds in a little bit more of that global look that I am such a fan of, but it gives you a little pop of color in the room that's a little bit more unexpected. Above the fireplace, we have another art TV, which I just love because I can put the screensaver on. It's got this beautiful piece of art up here. It's got the wood frame that ties in with the white oak bookcases on either side of the hearth. So these 2 art pieces mean a lot to my family and I. They are commissions from my friend and artist. Her name is Emily Osier. They are interpretations of photographs that were taken at our family farm. And so I love them because she's an impressionistic style artist, but they are something that means so much to me and my family. This one is a view looking out over the cotton fields that surround my grandmother's house. And then this one is a view of our pond where we have spent so many times over the course of my life fishing. And I love that I'm able to take my children back to these 2 places and show them where I grew up to, and that our family farm is such a special place to us. Before I show you the primary suite, I have a couple of other things I'd like to share with you. One of them is this beautiful pagoda style china cabinet that's here off of the entryway of our home. And right now it's housing a lot of my blue and white collection. I love blue and white. I think it's it's a neutral to me, and it just reminds me of all the beautiful blue and white pieces that my mom and my grandmothers had when I was growing up. This pagoda style china cabinet is something that I've had forever. It's one of my favorite pieces in the house, and I just keep moving it from house to house. And it's flanked by this pair of Chippendale wingback chairs that, again, I keep moving whenever we move and renovate and build, and I just keep painting them a new color depending on where they land in my house. So on the way to the powder room, you pass this little vignette. Again, this is one of my mother-in-law's pieces, and it's really one of my favorite things that I have of hers. It's this beautiful tall chest. To me, it's classic and very timeless. And then, of course, it has my sweet boy's portraits above it. This is my Samuel, and then this is Henry, and then, of course, I'll need to do one for the baby when the time comes. But I also have this beautiful sketch of my dad here that my friend Miss Wendy Arnold did for me, and it's really one of my most treasured things I have. We've got a fun little picture of our dog, Miss Clementine, and then one of our family pictures, one of our first as a family of 5. So I love this one. This is Joe Malone. It's the wood, sage, and sea salt candle. I'm gonna need to find a replacement soon though, because I burn it all the time. Tucked under our stairs is our powder room. And I love a formal powder room because it gives you a little moment to create a little bit of a jewel box vibe. This one, I was so excited to use a wallpaper that I had been wanting to use forever. It is Graffito by Kelly Wersler. And I think that it's the most fun, kind of unexpected touch for my gallery wall here. I've got lots of pieces that were family things, but also some contemporary art and some of my talented friends who have gifted me things along the way. One of my tips for creating a gallery wall of art is to really consider your space. So in this one, I kind of ended up putting together a lot of portraits. You'll see that I've got portraits of some things that were passed down to us, and then some more contemporary art. But then also, if you're just kind of wanting to create, say, a beautiful gallery wall over a sofa in a living room, consider color and subject matter and even your frame choices. I love grouping things that are related but not necessarily matching. So, for instance, I've done for clients and myself a group of landscapes. I think that's always a fun touch, things that you find along the way. Maybe it's from an antique mall, maybe there's some contemporary pieces thrown in, but I love the thought of a gallery wall really telling your story about who you are and the things that you love in your own home. Now that you've seen the powder room, I'd love to show you the most relaxing space in the house, the primary suite. When you're entering the primary suite, you pass through this beautiful paneled vestibule. This was something that I really wanted to give a little bit of that Tudor nod to our home. It's paneled in this beautiful white oak, and my builder did this for me. He has amazing craftsmanship. And so I loved that this space was kind of its own little moment when you're coming down the hallway into the primary suite. But when we were building our house, I really analyzed every little inch and where we could do some clever storage. And so he knew that this was important to me, and he designed me this amazing little wrapping station here that to me has been so convenient for me to wrap a quick gift when I'm headed out the door. So it looks like beautiful paneling, but when you open up the doors, we've got space for all of the things that I need. Tissue paper, ribbons, boxes, and then I even have this wonderful wrapping ledge that allows me to wrap something really easily, but then just close it all back up, and just like that, it looks like the paneling again. So our bedroom, I wanted it to be a little bit more feminine and a little bit softer. I believe that bedrooms should feel like a retreat. And in this particular space, I really feel like I am in the treetops. You can see out of the windows, we have beautiful trees around us, but then we surrounded ourselves in this awesome mural by Schumacher. It was a new colorway of an old pattern, and it was something I really, really wanted in this house. So with the mural as my more standout feature of the room, I didn't want it to feel too sweet or too girly. So I chose this great bold color for all of the trim in the room. You can see the coffered ceiling, the baseboards, the door frames are all painted this fun color called Deep Pewter by Benjamin Moore. I love that it was a color that I pulled from the mural, and it kept things from just feeling too sweet. So I did a big wall-to-wall jute rug in here, but I layered it with an old Ushak that I've had forever. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to layer old rugs over a natural fiber. I love the texture, and I love bringing in, again, some of that old mixed with the new. When I was planning this room, I had wanted this bamboo bed forever. So this is the Bunny Williams bamboo bed, and I just think it's the most beautiful thing. It's got the beautiful bamboo detail on the sides and on the slats, and I think that it just really warms up the space and gives a little nod to that chinoiserie look that I love so much. On either side of the big window, I've got some of my most meaningful art. So these are pieces that are really sentimental to me, and I've got a beautiful watercolor that belonged to my mother-in-law that was found at just a little hole in the wall antique mall in South Georgia. And then this is my husband's boutonniere from when we got married 15 years ago. And I had it framed, I kept it forever, and to me it just means a lot to have it in our space. And then this is just a little sketch of my parents' home, which, you know, we all love going to. And to me, these are just really more sentimental pieces that I've pulled into our bedroom. These slipper chairs I have had for over 20 years. These are some of the pieces that I bought when I went off to college. They are sturdy, they're big, they were very well made. And so I just had a little slip cover made for these to kind of change up the look, which is a really easy thing to do instead of having them completely reupholstered. I love the little check detail. I love the contrast piping. And again, these are really versatile because I can face them towards each other, my kids can push them together, or I can turn them to kind of give me a whole new look. Again, in any room, I love a little bit of animal print. So I brought in this great needlepoint cheetah print here on a bench at the foot of our bed, which is a great place for us to pile all of our pillows at the end of the day. On my bed, I mixed in several different things. I've got this beautiful dohar that's from Mila and Rome here, folded at the end of our bed. And then I've got, you know, one of my favorite matlazés that I've had for years. And then some beautiful Matug linens for Schumacher as my pillowcases. I love that it's not so matchy-matchy, that it's more collected. And I think that it just kind of adds a little bit more to the mix in this room. This is a king-size bed, which may look quite long, but it's been great, and at night we can all pile in here and watch a movie together. So over here I have a piece that again has just kind of moved with me throughout the years. I found this piece for the first time at an antique mall in Macon, Georgia, and I think my mom texted me a picture of it and was kind of like, you have to have this. And so I fell in love with it. It's an old, I believe, apothecary style cabinet. It's in 3 sections, so it comes apart, but it's got all of these little compartments and drawers and doors where you can store lots of different things. It was completely out of my price range, and I ended up making an offer that was not accepted, and then going back a couple of months later, and they were willing to come down on their price. So it was something that I just loved. I had never seen anything like it, and I just thought that it was such a beautifully detailed piece with the hinges, and we've got this beautiful old mirror here, and then it also gave me a perfect spot to tuck a couple more blue and white jars on top. These are a part of my enameled picture frame collection. I have quite a few of these that again belong to my mother-in-law, and she was a wonderful collector, and I have probably 30 pieces of these that were hers. So they're antique pieces, they're enamel, and I think they are just so much fun. I have them kind of scattered all over the house. So this is a room where I can really recharge. If I go missing at night and my boys or my husband are trying to find me, I'm typically in this space. I have turned into a total tub person. So I love, you know, at the end of the day, having this as just kind of my time. So we have this beautiful freestanding tub that's sort of the focal point of the room in front of this great set of windows. So I get all of this great natural light in here. My husband and I have separate vanities, and so when I was designing these, I wanted something that still felt warm, that kind of was a warm accent to all of the white marble in the space. So we each have our own vanity, and we've got white oak cabinets as our vanities, and then I chose an antique mirror over each sink to kind of, again, bring in that sort of antique look and add in a couple of older elements with all of the modern pieces of the room. I think it certainly can keep everyone in their own space. My husband probably would say more so than me that he is very happy that we have our own vanities. So I wanted to point out these great prints on either side of the tub niche. These are prints that my mom, they're antique prints that my mother brought back from England, and she had them kind of stowed away really for years. I remember running across them in a closet, and she would say, a couple of different times over the years, oh, I'm going to get those framed, I'll get those framed. Well, when we were building the house, she said, do you want to take those English prints with you? And I said, yes. I thought they were just so sweet. And it means a lot to me that my parents brought them back from England with them on one of their trips. So that's what these two pieces are, this one and the one over on my side. I had them framed in a burl wood frame, which again, I love wood tones and I love mixing wood tones. So I've got the burl wood frame here mixed with the white oak of the cabinetry. And then, like I showed you earlier, I have a set of 6 of these little chinoiserie chairs, and this is one of those too. This little bamboo chair that I have here tucked by the tub, where I can throw down the towel, I can lay my bathrobe, or the boys can put their pajamas while they're getting ready at night. So across from the tub and kind of around the corner from our large walk-in shower is a nice wall where we installed one of the Samsung Art TVs. I love these. These are a designer's dream because, you know, a TV is always kind of the eyesore of a room, but with these you can have a custom frame put on them. I went with the white oak frame, and then any kind of artwork that you want on the TV. So it keeps it from looking like just your basic TV. But this is a place where I can come and take a bath, catch up on my show, and just have a little time for myself at the end of the day. So this is arguably the most feminine room in the house. This is Mom's closet. So I really wanted a place where I had intentional storage for all of my things so that getting out the door in the morning is just that much easier. So we designed a closet for me that has space for all of my things, but really the island in the middle of the room is by far my favorite piece of cabinetry in our home. It was designed by me, and it houses all of my jewelry, you know, seasonal items. So it just makes getting out the door in the mornings so much easier. So I'm no stranger to color and pattern. I love color and pattern, especially in my clothes. And you can see with all of my dresses, I love color, I love pattern, I love different styles of dresses. I'm probably more of a dress person than anything because it's just such an easy effort to selecting an outfit. And then, you know, now with all of my shoe display, I can just make that really easy when planning what I'm gonna wear. I love different colors and lengths of dresses. I've got a lot of, you know, pink and blue, but then I've got some really cool vintage pieces that I've had forever. So that's really one of my favorite go-tos, is just kind of my dresses, whether it's spring, summer, winter, or fall. So here in my closet, I have several things that are just really sentimental to me. And one of them is this DIY shadow box that I did myself a couple of years ago. And it houses some of the brooches that were either my mom, my grandmother's, or my mother-in-law's. So the brooch on the top is something that I had attached to my bouquet on my wedding day. It belonged to one of my grandmothers. And then the piece at the bottom, I remember my other grandmother, she would wear to church on Sundays. And then the 2 cameos, one belonged to my maternal grandmother and then to my great-grandmother. So they're just things that were sweet and special to me that I thought could be turned more into art instead of just hiding in the drawer. I'm about to give you a sneak peek of the kids' rooms upstairs, but first I wanted to show you one more little hidden spot in the house. So like I said earlier, utilizing every square inch, we created this adorable little hidden hideout for my kids under the stairs. It's got a jib door and the light comes on automatically, and the boys, they have all of their treasures here under the stairs where they can create their bracelets. I love that we have a little place to stash some toys too. This is my middle son Samuel's bedroom, and as you can tell, he is my dinosaur lover. He loves everything about dinosaurs. He knows how, when they were in existence, he knows the names of all of them, and so I wanted to give him a special place to have all of his dinosaurs on display so that he can get them down and play with them, but also these are his treasures. So we designed these sturdy white shelves, so he was able to line up all of his dinosaurs, and he says they're just his favorite things in his room. So here in Samuel's room, not only does he just love dinosaurs, he loves all animals. So we've got animals everywhere. We've got, his stuffed animals, we've got Georgia bulldogs, we've got snakes on the bed. But one of my other favorite pieces of art in the house is this beautiful commission that my friend Elaine Burge did of his favorite dinosaur, which is an Allosaurus. And I think she did such a great job. She was so fun and cute. She said she'd never painted a dinosaur before, but I think she did a great job, and he absolutely loves it. Welcome to John Reese's nursery, one of the sweetest rooms that we have in the house. It was not on our original plan with our architect, but when I found out that he was on the way, we were able to shift a little bit of our roof line and add this little cozy room for him that really is just so sweet and special. This bed was also for Henry and Samuel, and I'm so glad that I kept it because it just means a lot to us. And the glider was also one that we used with the two of them, and so I love that he has a little bit of that history here in this room. But we also, did some blackout drapery in here so that he can sleep really well at night. And I chose a classic ticking stripe from Schumacher with this fun little pom-pom trim. And I think it just looks very sweet and whimsical for John Reese. Welcome to our outdoor space. This covered porch is where we spend a lot of time as a family. The boys have loved it all summer. We have grilled out here. We have hung out with our buddies. We have the TV on. It has just been so wonderful and was a big priority for us when we were designing our home. And it's right here off the pool, which we have used every day, multiple times a day, all summer long. We wanted a place that was an extension of the living areas of our house, but also really hard working for our boys and all of the neighborhood kids who have been here. We love having people here at our house. We chose a concrete paver for our pool surround, and then I chose a really dark pebble tech for the interior of the pool, which I have loved so much. We did a raised spa area, and then back on the corner, we did a little tanning ledge, which has been so great for our baby as he just loves to sit there and splash. Home to me is a space that is loving and warm and secure at the end of the day. I love coming home after picking up my boys from school, and we have everything's here and we're set up to live the way that we want to live. I love that we have things that we have brought with us from other homes and collected over time. I love being in this space and having things that were passed down to us from our grandmothers and our mothers. And so home to me is about the people that I share it with, but also about the walls that we're able to enjoy each other's company in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Nina. Come on in. Welcome to my home in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey there, I'm Nina Long, and I'm an interior designer in Atlanta, Georgia. I live in this house with my husband, Taylor Long, and our sweet little son, Collier Long. And Collier is actually a old Atlanta name, so it's kind of special that we named him after that. So he'll forever be kind of tied to this house because we do live in Collier Hills. So that's really, so we could basically never leave. I've always been an artistic person. I was always drawing and painting at a young age. When I was a little girl, we lived in Connecticut and we had a lot of woods. And I remember I would make little floor plans in the woods with string and kind of set up rooms and say this was the kitchen and this was the family room, and I would like make floor plans with string and tie it from tree to tree, which is a little bit unusual, but it started at a young age for me. I truly enjoy it. It doesn't feel like a job, to be honest with you. I love it. We have lived in this house for about 3 years now, and what I really love about the house is that it's old. I love an old house. This house was built in 1938, and what really appealed to us was basically just the aesthetics of this house. It's everything that I love. It has the charm of an old house, you know, which new houses nowadays they just don't have anymore. So for my husband and I, it was like super important that we were only looking for old houses. We love the windows, the architecture, a lot of the creaks in the floor, a lot of those little quirky things about an old house that some people may not like, we actually love. It just has so much character that you just simply can't find in a new house nowadays. So we've lived here for, like I said, about 3 years, and when we bought the house, it had great bones, but it needed a lot of work. So it was definitely something we knew we were coming into a project, which we actually really enjoy. Maybe not so much during the renovation process, but we really like being able to make a house ours. And so, you know, me being an interior designer, of course, I did really enjoy it. And I'm exposed to so much. So I do have a hard time when it comes to decorating my own house. It takes me probably a lot longer to make decisions, but I do eventually end up making, I think, the right choices. It might take me a long time, but my husband, he's really great because we kind of have the same taste, and so he's awesome because I can just show him something and I say, what do you think about this? And 9 out of 10 times he actually loves it, so I'm lucky there. Welcome to the foyer. This is a small space in our house, but it's also important because it's the first thing you see when you walk in the front door. This is one of my favorite pieces in the whole house, actually, and it took me forever to find this. I mean, literally years. And then I stumbled upon it at Scott's Antique Market here in Atlanta, which is, it's like a huge antique market that people from all over the Southeast come to, and it's once a month. And I found this piece, and I really fell in love with it. Of course, it's an antique, but I love like pieces that have little details, and I thought this was really cute because it had just little like inlay, and the scalloping here at the bottom is just so precious, and I love this piece because it was unique. And one of the other things that I am starting to collect besides oil paintings is these little boxes. These are chinoiserie boxes or tea caddies, and I just really love chinoiserie. So I thought this was a great place to display the collection. When you walk in the front door, you know, you see something again that I love. And then this is a antique French mirror. Has a scallop detail on it. Just it kind of, you know, looks good with the scalloping on this chest. And I have this sweet little antique alabaster lamp. So it's a pretty simple foyer, but you know, again, all the pieces have meaning, and I found these pieces, like most of the pieces in my house, you know, over time. It's not something that, I feel like a house just shouldn't always be like instant. I don't believe in instant house, instant decorating. I think it's something that you collect over time. So that's the first thing when you see that you see when you walk in the door, and I love it. So when you walk in the front door, it's a kind of an open concept, you know. To the right, you see the living room, and then to the left, you have the dining room. And so we'll get to these rooms in a little bit. But it was important that in a home like this, where you have these doorways that open to each other, that it really flows. You know, that's very important to me in my home and with my clients' homes. You know, you want cohesiveness. You want each room to have its own personality, but you know, when you're looking from one room to the other, it has to make sense. Welcome to our living room. This room is where we actually spend the most time, and it's one of my favorites in the whole house. I think when we originally were looking at this house, this is really what sold me on the house. And I think the reason I love this room so much is you could see all the decorative molding along the ceiling, and that is original. And we'll show you the fireplace here in a second, but that's also one of my favorite features. So this room was a challenge because of the layout. This is where we're spending so much time, so it was important to me that I can, you know, have space for everyone to move around, for little Collier to play, but also when we entertain, that there's enough seating for our friends and family. When I started decorating this room, honestly, the thing that I started off with was this fabric right here. The curtain fabric it's an English print, it's by Jasper, and that was my color palette for the whole room. I wanted something warm in here, so I really started off with that. I found these botanicals at an antique shop. The rug, it was a miracle to find a rug that worked in here because just the colors that I used are, I wouldn't say you see it as much as, you know, you see maybe some light blues that a lot of people use, or grays or creams. You know, this is a very warm room, and I definitely struggled when I was designing this room. You know, I could do everyone else's houses, but I can't do my own. So this took me forever, but I love this room so much. And then I want to share with you quickly, you have to see this mantle. It's my favorite thing, probably in the whole house. This is the original mantle from 1938, and I just love the detail on it. When we bought this house, the marble was actually cracked. It was in really bad shape. So we replaced this. I love the way an old, you know, a honed soapstone looks. I think it's so classic. So I did this, added, you know, an old fireplace screen, and you know, it's the focal point of the room. So I just love it so much. And if I was moving, I would try and take this thing off the wall, but I don't think I could. So originally, we did not have bookcases in this room, and I love, you know, design books, architecture books, art books. So I needed a place where I could store my books. I had my friend who's a carpenter who does a lot of work for our clients come over and make these great bookshelves for me. Also, great place to hide, you know, some kids' toys. So I just love a bookshelf in a living room. So we had a lot of fun designing those. Something really cool that I have to show you guys is this photograph right here. I actually used this in a show house recently, and I fell in love with it, and I just had to purchase it for myself. This is a Slim Aarons photograph, and you could see Mick Jagger, and that's Marianne Faithfull. She's a British singer, and that is Desmond Guinness from the Guinness family, and this photograph is from 1960, and it's taken at one of his castles in Ireland. So I thought it was really cool. I like having something in a room that, you know, maybe you wouldn't expect. My husband plays music also. He is an amazing guitarist. So I thought this little nod to music was fun. So I kind of threw that in for him, and he loved it, of course. So surrounding this piece are some antique French oyster plates, and I'm obsessed with the colors in these. You don't really see that color a lot. You know, a lot of the times with oyster plates, you might see white ones or pink ones or maybe dark brown. But I saw these, and they were definitely a little out of my budget, but I made the splurge, and I think I found just the perfect place for them. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, again, it's just something that you wouldn't normally maybe think to put in your living room on the wall, but I just think they add such a neat, you know, decorative element, and they frame out that the photo really nice. So of course, the colors are amazing, and it just worked with the blues and the browns and everything in this room. So I think they're perfect. So as I mentioned before, you know, I like to collect things. I'm at a point in my life where, you know, I can collect things that I like, and I'm always on the hunt for antique oil paintings. And I have a certain aesthetic that I look for when I'm on the hunt for antique oils. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the pastoral scenes or still lives with people. You know, I think I usually look for beautiful landscapes. Traditionally, I'm looking for English oil paintings, maybe Italian oil paintings or French oil paintings, and I like them to be smaller, and I like to put them in groupings. And the frames don't have to be perfect. I think that, you know, that's what makes them beautiful is the patina. So I love this little, I think this is actually a watercolor, and it fell off the wall once and the glass broke, and I'm like, whatever, I still love it, so I'm gonna hang it anyways. But this is a little watercolor. I think this is it looks like a boating scene. And then, you know, I have this little landscape over here. I have another, you know, water scene, and then just a beautiful little landscape right there. And I just love gold frames, and I think they're just special, and each little one tells a story. So I'm always on the hunt for those. And of course, you know, it's kind of, you have to be careful you don't overpay for these, but I'm always, you know, on the hunt for them. And, you know, sometimes in an antique shop, you might find a little tiny one like hidden in the back of something or on the ground, and usually those are the real treasures. Off of this room, I want to take you into the sunroom. This is kind of a spot that this is for me. This is almost like my room, and it's a special little place. Come check it out. So this is our sunroom, and when we first bought this house, this room looked totally different. It had black and white kind of linoleum floors in here, and the windows were, they were all fogged and damaged. So we had to do a lot of work when we bought this house, especially in this room. I had to replace all the windows, but of course, as you can see, they are covered because I love the way a sheer kind of diffuses the light, and it makes you feel like you're almost in a plane and you're going through clouds. I don't know, there's something about this room that is just very calming to me, and this is a place where I come and kind of have some me time. I'll sit on this sofa and, you know, read sometimes, or if I'm doing some work, you know, I might bring my computer out here. And it's just a place where I like to sit and maybe also have coffee in the morning. I open the door and I let the air in. And I don't know, this is just a special little room. It took me, of course, a while to figure out what I was doing in here. I found this English botanical fabric, and that was kind of the starting point for the palette in here. And then, you know, of course, my husband thought I was crazy when I told him that I wanted to paint the entire thing one color. But we're really happy with how it turned out, and I love the blue. It kind of reminds me of like a pair of old jeans. That's by Farrow and Ball, and I love their colors. So I think it turned out really well. A funny story, this light fixture was actually here in the house when we bought it, and I really loved it so much, but it was white. So I went and got about 4 different color golds at Ace Hardware, and sat in the backyard and spray painted it, and I actually had a lot of fun doing it, and I think it turned out really well. And one of my favorite pieces, again, back to chinoiserie, is going to be this antique cabinet. It's actually a secretary, but I definitely use it for storage, but it's a beautiful piece. In our old house, it was in the living room, and it just fits so perfectly on this wall. And, you know, it stores just some little tchotchkes, I guess, that are, you know, meaningful for me that I want enclosed somewhere where they're safe. And we have some old books. A funny thing is, I'm going to show you guys this book. These were given to us by Taylor's mom. And the funny thing is, every single book on the bottom says Collier. And I have no idea why or what that means, but that's my son's name. So I think that's really kind of a funny story. And of course the blue was so pretty, so I had to have them. Welcome to our dining room. I love this room too. I'm kind of partial. I love all the rooms in our house, to be honest with you, but this one is extra special because of the wallpaper, of course. I knew I wanted to do a scenic mural in here, and one of my favorite wallpapers is a designer, it's Ixel, and Schumacher makes this paper, and I use it a lot in my jobs. They have beautiful, beautiful designs that are old scenic murals, and this one in particular is Italy, and I fell in love with it. I'm Italian, so again, that's a nod to something that has meaning to me and is special. I thought it was so beautiful. I had a lot of fun picking out the panels that were going to go in here and what was going to go on each wall. And when my son was really little and he was super tiny, I would hold him up and we would walk around this room and we would point to different things in the paper, and that was really sweet because he would point out trees and cows, and it's just kind of a funny story. So every time I come in here, I just kind of think about that little memory with him. So that's really special. So this is a great chandelier. It's actually a replica of kind of a French Parisian style. This one has the little glass, beads, and it also is iron. It's a gilded iron. And if you look up, you could see that beautiful original medallion that's also on the ceiling. So it's just a beautiful architectural detail along with the molding that you can also see along the ceiling here, the crown molding. It just makes the room special. And I painted this room one of my favorite greens by Farrow and Ball. This is one of those colors that you could honestly use everywhere and anywhere. It goes with anything, and it kind of changes based on what else you have in the room. And I've used this many times for clients, and I just was dying to use it for myself. And I just love the way that it looks with this wallpaper because there's so many beautiful greens in here. So I think it works really nicely. And so for the rug, this is an antique, one-of-a-kind rug. I wanted this to be a little more subtle since the wallpaper and paint is so strong. And it was tricky to find just the right, rug for in here, but I think we nailed it. I love the gold tones in here, and it just pulls out all this beautiful kind of ochre that you see in the paper. Those are actually a gift from a friend. I was hoping they were gonna hang on till today, and they, this might be the last day, but my friend sent those to me. So they're beautiful. It's actually from a French florist here in town who, funny enough, did our wedding flowers, and she didn't even know that. So I thought that was really sweet. I love doing flowers in here. This is a room that even though this is our dining room, we use this super informally. We don't have a breakfast room in this house. So, I sit in here all the time. I'll bring my computer. I do work here at this table. Little Collier, we put a booster seat here and he, eats at the table with us. I don't want our house to feel like it's so precious. I want you to feel like you could sit at the table, use your dining room. So even though it maybe feels, it has an element of dressiness to it, it's a place where, we use this. When we have friends over, we will sit here and have pizza. So, we don't have to do a 4-course dinner in the dining room. It's a place that you could sit with friends and have pizza, or, with your child in the morning and have a bowl of cereal. So, it's somewhere that makes me really happy. I look at this wallpaper every day, and I just love it so much. It just really makes me happy. So I think that's what's important in a home for sure. The style of this house, I would say, is a traditional Georgian style house. It kind of has an English sensibility. A lot of the architecture comes from, a traditional English style. It has the brick exterior, which, I love. And in the front, one of the things that just really made me fall in love was the treillage design in the front over the porch. It's really charming, and it has this beautiful like old metal roof, and it's just really sweet and very unique. And so many people have told me that they've driven by this house so many times and they just love how it looks from the street. And it kind of, I don't know, it's a popular house. It's kind of well known. The area of town that we live in is a historic part of Atlanta, and there's a lot of history on this street and kind of in the neighborhood surrounding it. So it just fits perfectly in with all the sweet little houses on this road, which are traditional. I would say the area is very traditional, in Atlanta. There's a lot of old, beautiful neighborhoods, so we really love it here. Okay, this is our kitchen. When we bought this house several years ago, this kitchen looked way different. You wouldn't even recognize it. It had brick floors, and the cabinetry was like a mint green, and the refrigerator was over there, the stove was over there, there was, this was a wall, so it was very tight, and it was just not gonna work for us. So when we bought this house, we knew immediately that this kitchen we would have to tackle. I had a lot of fun doing this kitchen, and I think it really kind of changes the whole house. Again, I wanted kind of an English, sensibility as far as the aesthetic in this kitchen. Just really clean. I like the kitchen to be, a clean area, not too much clutter. And, this is just perfect. An interesting thing about this kitchen is that's the original window from 1938. Had to keep it. I love opening the windows because I burn things a lot. So that was important that the windows open in here. They are old windows, and sometimes you don't have, a lot of the times windows are painted shut. So it was really important to us that we had these, functional. Love this faucet. This is by Waterworks. I knew 100% I was doing brass. I love brass. It's kind of my go-to with plumbing all the time. So I knew for sure that we were doing a beautiful brass faucet in here. And again, it's one of those things like the wallpaper in my dining room that I have that I look at every single day and I just love. I also knew I wanted marble in here. And, marble is one of those things where you either love it or hate it. And for me, I love it. This is an old house. I think it makes sense to have marble. It's more traditional. And yes, it can stain. And a lot of people are like, I can't believe you did marble in your kitchen. And I was like, well, I love it. And it's beautiful. It's a natural material. And if I get a little ring on it or some wine, well, I'm just living in my house. And so I'm okay with that. And we had to do this little tiny island here because I definitely needed an island in this kitchen. And I thought this was really sweet. I did some research with like English kitchens, and I would see a very simple island on legs. And I thought that was perfect for this kitchen and for this space. When we have friends over and we have dinner parties or we're entertaining, a lot of the times I set up food on this island, and a lot of people gather in here. So yes, because it is open to our dining room, you have, a flow going back and forth, which is actually pretty convenient. If I'm in here at the sink, prepping things, the dining room's right there. So it's actually kind of convenient. If I'm making breakfast for Collier, he can be sitting at the table and I can keep an eye on him. So it actually works out really well. And, that's just one of the things with an old historic home, especially, here in Atlanta. They are a little more compact, I guess you could say. So as much as I would love a gigantic kitchen, this one is perfect, less cleaning. And it just, it just does the job. And renovating it definitely makes it feel bigger and brighter because it is a small space. So it's important that I, keep it, pretty clutter-free in here. And I'm one of those people that I like to collect things, but I don't like clutter. So, it's kind of like organized chaos with my collections. But then when it comes to the kitchen, I can't stand having like, baby bottles on the counter and, just utensils everywhere. And my husband's kind of the same way. I guess maybe we have OCD a little bit, so it works well. This is our main powder room, and this room it's really cute. The wallpaper adds a little element of design that I love pattern, love wallpaper. And I put an antique mirror in here. We have a pedestal sink, again with some Waterworks brass. The floor in here is marble. We added that. Everything in this room is new, but I like it to look like it's always been here, if that makes sense. Originally, this whole bathroom was green when we bought the house, and it had black and white linoleum floors, I believe. And it just I was not having it. So we gutted this bathroom, and everybody that comes over sees this room, so I wanted it to be special, and I think it feels like a little jewel box. I'm not a huge monogrammer. It's really big in the South. It's not really me, but I think if you're going to do a little bit of monogramming, a great place to do it is like in your powder room. So I did bite the bullet and do a little monogram in here, and I think it's really cute. So now I'm gonna take you upstairs and let's go check out the 3 bedrooms. The first bedroom we have here is my son's room. This is Collier's room. So this is my son's room, Collier. I had so much fun designing this room for him. The starting point for this room was, of course, this drapery. This is called India Story, and it's so adorable. It has just kind of like little Indian palaces and tigers and animals and flowers, and we just kind of at night go through and look at this and point to all the little animals and say goodnight to everybody. And I just knew that this would be really fun for him and something that he could grow into, I guess. That was important. I didn't start with, a super baby room for him that was just blue and white, and this is something that he could grow into, so that was important for me. Collier has probably the nicest rug in the entire house. I love this rug. This is an antique rug by Moatar. It's from Moatar here in Atlanta. One of my favorite rug sources, and the color was absolutely perfect. And I knew that he could sit on this and play, and obviously if it gets stained, you're not gonna see it. And this is something that he would probably have his whole life. We did a cute little stripe in here, the wallpaper, and I found this neat little wicker light for him. This painting right here is actually kind of special. This is by Casey Hughes. She's an artist out of Nashville, and I've worked with her before. She does really awesome art, and before Collier was born, I worked with her, and she commissioned this piece for me. I love working with artists because, they make you exactly what you want, and it's something that nobody else is gonna have. So again, this is a special piece for Collier, and I'm gonna, give it to him one day, and so he'll have that forever. And just remember, the love I put into this room and the time I took to just make him, feel special. And so I love this piece. Welcome to our guest bedroom. What's special about this room is this was actually the furniture that my husband and I had when we first got together. This was our first bedroom, and I love it so much. Obviously, it's special to us. I had to keep it, and I still love it. It's really fun. These Bunny Williams lamps, you know, obviously these are really cool. The blues were perfect in here. These draperies we had in our old home, and I definitely had to reuse them. So I had them reworked to fit this house because I loved them so much and I just had to use them. And there's just a lot of things in this room that maybe we've had a little bit longer than others. Love this bedspread. I found this on an antiquing trip. I think I was up in New York and I found this. This is from India. And again, little oil painting. You know, I love this little one. I didn't want the guest bedroom to feel too crowded and cluttered. It's not the biggest guest bedroom, so it was important that I use the space really wisely in here. But everybody seems to love this room when they stay here. It has just good light. It has 3 windows, and it's really comfy. So that was important to me, that guests feel that they could relax in here and that they feel comfortable and welcome. Something that I wanted to point out, you know, I love to collect things, and one of the things that I'm going to start collecting is clocks. This is an old little marble clock. This was given to me by actually my partner, my design partner. He has the most massive collection of clocks I've ever seen in my life. And this one is really beautiful. It's white marble and it's an antique. So this was kind of like the start of something. Again, this is a oil painting. It's old. And one important thing about oil paintings is you always want to make sure that they are old. This one says it's from 1918. And I always look at the back of oil paintings because you don't want to buy a replica. So you want to make sure that the back is original and that it's original framing. If it's signed, you know, that's a bonus if there's information on it. I always try and keep the tags on everything so that I remember where I got it, where it's from, and even like how much I paid for it. I try and keep all of that intact, or at least keep it in a little file when I buy all my art. I think my house is really warm and cozy. It's not a grand house, but I think that it has a lot of charm to it, and I'm comfortable in this house. You know, when I come home from work, I love to just plop down on the sofa or sit down on the floor and play with my little boy, and I like to have friends over. We entertain, and it's a comfortable home, you know, and it's a good reflection of really who we are. We're not following trends. We're not trying to impress anybody. It's just really what we like and what speaks to us. And last but not least is our bedroom. So this room was, again, a challenge because we had little to no closet space. We love this room, but one thing is, again, it was tight. So I had to think fast. What are we going to do to add some closet space to this room? We also decided to upgrade the master bathroom. So we kind of had to do that at the same time. Took some space out of the closet and made it part of the bathroom. And in turn, I decided to add these I guess you could call them wardrobes, these closets, and they're used a lot in Europe because they have the same issue with space kind of that we have in the smaller old homes here, where there's just not a lot of closet space. So we had these custom made, and I wanted them to go all the way up to the ceiling, and there's a ton of storage in them. This is my side, and Taylor's side is over there, but this really solves the problem for us. And as you can imagine, they're so large that when they were made, the contractor actually could not get them up the stairs because they were so long, and he had to take them back to the shop and take them apart. Of course, I was almost in tears over that, but we had to go to plan B and kind of remake these a little bit because they were so tall we couldn't even get them up the stairs. But that being said, it was worth it, and I love them so much. They're very functional. One of my favorite things about our bedroom is the canopy, and when I presented this idea to my husband, of course, he was like, I'm not going to sleep in that at night. And I said, well, you're going to love it. It's going to feel like we're, at a hotel. It's going to feel like we're at the St. Regis. And, I think that a hotel for me is just a place where I can always relax. And I wanted the bedroom to have that same kind of sanctuary feeling. So it's more kind of light and airy in here. The blue I feel is very soothing. It's always a great choice for a bedroom. And, every time I lay in this bed, I just get a great night's sleep. It's quiet, and it kind of like, cocoons around you. And yes, it is a little feminine for my husband, but he's learned to love it. So I could say that he definitely gets a good night's sleep in this bed. So another one of my favorite oil paintings is this one. I had to put this in the bedroom. I thought the blues and greens were so pretty. It's a gorgeous landscape. I found that at an antique market, of course, and it's just very soothing. I love the blue skies. It's just, relaxing and perfect for a bedroom. And my love for all things chinoiserie. When I saw this desk, I bought it. I had nowhere to put it at the time, but I just knew that I would love it and make a space for it. So this is a neat little kind of vanity desk. I keep a lot of, Christmas cards and letters in here, sweet little notes from my husband, and I have some, special little things in here, and then a wedding photo. So this is just a sweet little area of our bedroom. I love the framing in front of the window here, and the beautiful drapery, of course, with the blues and the ivories and the greens. It's just a special little space where I could sit down and, if I need to take notes on something, I have this desk. It's always great to have a little, desk or a vanity in a bedroom. So I love this one, and so I had to make a space for it, and it was perfect right in here. This is our bathroom. When we first moved here, this bathroom was so tiny. It only had one sink. The toilet was over here, and that behind me where the shower is was actually our closet. Made some changes. We, gutted this whole room. We added a beautiful marble floor, custom cabinetry, marble in the shower, and of course my favorite, brass faucets. These are from Waterworks, and I love how they are really simple, but they kind of have that vintage feel to them, which I think is really appropriate to the house. And when I'm doing bathrooms, especially for me, this being an old house, it's important that the bathroom is classic. I'm not looking for anything super trendy in the bathroom because we come and go. Let's say the bathroom's going to stay here. It needs to be timeless. So it's really important that in a master bathroom that it's just classic. And so that's what we wanted to do in here. We have these little kind of vintage Ralph Lauren lights, just very simple. Medicine cabinets are a must in a bathroom of this size because I have a lot of products and I like to have extra storage. So I have everything in here and then plenty of space down here, drawers, cabinets, they hold a lot of things. So it works out really perfect. Recently, I put up this grass cloth just to add a little texture. I don't have any artwork in here, and I kind of toy with that. Do I want to put something up? But then again, I just kind of like the bathroom to feel clean and just be like a functional place where, you know, we come in, get ready, and, you know, you don't spend a whole lot of time in here because it is, you know, a smaller bathroom, but it works perfectly for the two of us, so it's all we need. I think a home is a place where you can be yourself, where you can be comfortable, where you could live and just feel safe and know that you could come there and just feel good when you're in that space and when you have those walls around you and you want to be there. We love our home. You know, we like to stay home. We like to be here. You know, our ideal Friday night is, you know, sitting on the sofa with sushi and some wine and watching, you know, a movie or something. And, you know, it's a great location. We have parks, you know, we like to spend a lot of time outside. So home is just somewhere that you want to be.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Greg. Welcome to my home in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm so glad you're here. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Be sure to visit our website, homeworthy.com, to discover amazing furniture, art, accessories, and more, all handpicked by our editors to help transform your house into a home. All of the items are inspired by the episodes you see here on Homeworthy. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Greg Irby. We are in my home in Atlanta, Georgia. I live here with my husband, Mike, and then our two children. Our son, Sims, is a senior in college, and our daughter is a junior in college. So they kind of mysteriously come and go when they please. And then we live here with our dog, Jean-Pierre, we call JP, a French bulldog, and our cat, Max. We bought this house in January of 2020. We were not planning on moving. In fact, we were in the middle of a third renovation in our family home that we loved, and most of all, we loved our family neighborhood, just surrounded by lots of close family friends, and it was just a great spot. But Mike and I would often walk by this house. He grew up down the street, and we always said if this house ever came on the market, we would buy it. It's a 1930s English cottage Tudor, and just I always loved the exterior of it. And one Friday afternoon, late afternoon, I was driving by and saw the real estate agent putting the sign out front. And I thought, oh my gosh. And so I called my friend Molly Beery, who sells real estate in Atlanta, and said, Molly, I have to see this house, but we are not moving. So she brought me over on that Saturday morning, first thing, and we put an offer on it that afternoon. I love the outside of the house. When I walked in, I realized that it was going to be a huge renovation project, but it just had great bones, and I love the size of it. Our kids, we were just about to be empty nesters, and I love that it was downsizing some, and just the cottage feel of it. All the rooms were smaller in proportion, but I knew that I could do every inch of the house and not feel overwhelmed. So I really just fell in love with it, and it was in pretty bad shape when I walked in that Saturday morning. So one of my favorite things in all homes are large foyers, but I did not get that in this home. But I had this very small entry, but I wanted to make sure I really made it fun and dramatic. So I started with this grass cloth wallpaper, which I love, by Ozar Brie, and it just had great texture and just a great punch. And I found this mirror at the flea markets in Paris and was so happy that it worked here. And then I got this Rococo console, and it had a yellowed marble top, and I found this fun marble top to replace it with. And this is a grandmother's lamp. We just put a new lampshade on it. wedding gifts. These are wedding gifts as well. And then art from the gallery by Sarah Comelli. So I love just mixing the old with the new. With this entry being so small, I wanted when people to come in for them to not feel so closed in. So I decided to make this space here, hoping it to be a part of the entry. And this is one of my favorite paintings by Lynn Sanders, a 48 by 60, which I just think works so well in this room. And I found these Biedermeier chairs, which I fell in love with, and they were in great shape. And I just added this C.W. Stockwell animal print to them. And then you'll see in my home, I have a few different areas where I have the dolphin motif, which I love, this dolphin table. And then just things, this was my grandmother's. I remember exactly where it was in her home in Charlotte. And in the bookshelves, it shows a lot of the things that I really love, mixing the old with the new. This is a favorite. These are early 1800 Chinese porcelains from my husband's grandparents. She collected them from H. Moog, which was in Atlanta. It was a mainstay in Atlanta for years. Mixed with these were my great-grandmother's and wedding gift. The horses I have on both sides of the bookshelves. They were from an antique shop in Rhode Island where my daughter went to school, and I loved the town. On her graduation weekend, I knew I wanted to get something to remember it by. But again, more things. This is the Chinese porcelain. You'll see that I love anything chinoiserie, and we're just lucky that we were able to receive those from grandparents. I loved mixing the old with the new. So early 1800 with a collage painting by Erin McIntosh, who's a gallery artist. I've represented her for over 20 years. And then these tortoise handles by Nest Collection, who are here in Atlanta. I think those just add a fun touch to the bookshelves. And all of these cloisonne boxes were collected by a grandparent, so we have those scattered throughout. And some of them you even can open up and see, old buttons that were that she used, or it's kind of neat. I grew up in South Carolina. My mother was an artist, and my father was an attorney, and just always was surrounded by watching my mother create. But I was more business-minded, like my father. I got my business degree in marketing undergrad, and then went and got my MBA. And when I first started out in Atlanta, I would go around and try to start my own art collection, and I couldn't even afford the little tiny, 8 by 10 paintings. So I was like, God, there's got to be a way to find artists that I can afford. So I started representing emerging artists, and I'd have shows in my home. And then I decided to take the show on the road, and I'd go to other southeastern cities where my friends lived, and I'd have shows in their homes. And it really grew from there. And I opened up a gallery in 2006, 2007 in Atlanta, and it was open just 2 days a week because my children were young, and I would race home and get home before the school bus arrived, and it just kind of grew with my family, with my life. And now we are at Peachtree Battle Shopping Center, Atlanta, Georgia, just down the street, and we represent about 45 artists from all over the country, a couple of international artists, and we just have a full team, and we're selling art all over the country, and it's been tons of fun. It's been a fun, long, interesting journey. The living room, I decided to start with the paint color, and I fell in love with this Farrow and Ball Pen Noir paint, which is kind of a lavender gray in the estate emulsion, and I painted everything in that: ceiling, trim, walls. So after I chose the Pen Noir color, I decided on two things simultaneously. This painting by Amy Wright, who's an Australian artist who we represent. I loved all her colors and just the surreal genre of the painting. It just adds so much depth to this room, and then I could use all my collected chinoiserie to surround the painting. You'll see that I have probably up to 10 pairs of food dogs in my home. I love food dogs. And the next thing I did is I chose this ferric mason fabric as maybe, my lead fabric in this room. And I've known Alex Mason, who's the founder and designer of Ferric Mason, for years, as I used to represent her as an artist when she painted full time. So it's so fun to have her work here. And a lot of these fabric designers I know personally, which is really neat. It's kind of like having, artist paintings in my home. When I know the artists, I love to know the designers who design their fabrics. Here, just mixing old with new, an old painting that came from great-grandparents with a new painting. And I always just try to find spots for paintings wherever I can, above side tables. And I love this hand-painted side tables that I bought at an antique shop here in Atlanta. And then in this room, what we did is I needed more space in this room, or more seating in this room. So I had this bench built in, and with this Marika Meyer fabric, which I just love. And then it's great because I have great storage under here, which I need in this home. And these are great little shin toasters by Coley Home. They're just great to pull up, and we've used these lots. So it makes for a good space for entertaining, and we can fit a lot of people in here when we're all together. I love color, art, patterns, and mixing it all up. So it's really just all the things that I really love. And we were lucky that our grandparents left us a lot of their items. So I've sprinkled that around the house, and it's really just everything I love, surrounded by it all. I don't know exactly how I would define my personal style. I just love what I love. And I'm not worried about making it all work together. I do know that I love art, and I love wallpaper, and I love color. And those are kind of the main three things that inspire me. And I usually start there and just see where it takes me. Each room I did by really thinking about the kind of the feeling I wanted to have when I was in that room. And in here, we only come in here like in the evening, sometimes like on the weekend. And it's just fun to kind of come in here and have a drink with another couple or just by ourselves. Just a totally different, dramatic room. And this gives you a break. So I'll have like a room that's real peaceful, then one that's dramatic, that's real peaceful, just to kind of have a rest, and just whatever your mood is, you go into that room. And again, that's one of the reasons I love this house, because the rooms are small, and it is, choppy in the way that homes used to be. So I love that, to be able to create different feelings in each room, but they all show my personality, just that I do love color and layering and chinoiserie and art, wallpaper that you'll see throughout every room in the home. And I started with the wallpaper in here, and again, this is by Alex Mason of Ferric Mason. The day she created or released this wallpaper, I fell in love with it, knew I had to have it. And so I used this lacquer Benjamin Moore steamed spinach in here that works really well with the wallpaper. I tried to make sure that all my shades in my home were different custom fabric to make them more interesting. So I love these that were done. And then the sofa is a sleeper sofa, because we lost bedrooms coming to this house, and we need as many beds as we can get. So it is nice that we can pull this out and shut the doors in this room and move this. And these are the most comfortable suede chairs from Moore and Giles. And I wanted overstuffed chairs, club chairs, but every one that I looked at were so heavy, and I need to be able to move them easily. And these are really light, so that's been wonderful. And this is an outdoor porch that we are about to turn into a bedroom, because we need another bedroom. So we're already outgrowing our home with our kids coming home lots and bringing their friends. And in here, this is a portrait of my mother, which I love. And I love kind of mixing that in the room. There's so many colors in this room, and this wallpaper everywhere, and you see them all in this Missoni rug that has a little bit of everything in it. I have so much art that I do love that I want to hang it when I possibly can. So I always try to find fun spots for it. So, you know, I have them above the window, these figures above the window, the door on both sides, down here, but it just works well in this space, I think. So in here I used this high gloss Benjamin Moore's Claret, which I just love this color. And I had this old wooden table that I just ended up just painting that the same color. And it works great with the Skylar Samperton fabric for my window treatments. Come into my powder room and I'll show you a new wallpaper design that I am designing with an artist friend, Nancy V. Westfall. So this is one of the 2 wallpaper collections we have right now, and we have a few more on the horizon. This koi fish, but I think it looks great in here with the vaulted ceiling shower. This is our dining room, and I love our wallpaper, which is a new wallpaper that I've designed with my artist friend Nancy V. Westfall, and it's called Peacock Garden. And we used Farrow & Ball's Borrowed Light as the background for it. It comes in a few colorways. And then my husband, Mike, designed the molding for me. I couldn't figure out exactly what I wanted, and I wanted it to be really unique and work well with this wallpaper. So I was very happy that he did this and worked with our builder to make that happen. And you'll see more of just kind of my chinoiserie that I love. These are some old Italian iron flowers that were passed down to us. I wanted the round table because it just worked in this room that is so square. And this room is really kind of a pass-through in our house, so it really works, scale-wise, it works best. And I'm eventually going to put a tablecloth over it with, you know, my coffee table books, which I'm obsessed with coffee table books and have millions of them, to use this room for more than just a dining room. I love to host dinner parties, so this table has been used a lot. And I have this piece here, which is great to hold all of my china and a lot of my silver that I also store in my kitchen because there's just not a lot of storage space here. I didn't want to put a huge piece in this room because I just didn't want it to hide the wallpaper. So this works well for me. You know, lamps that I found in an antique shop and painted the base to work with our wallpaper. And this was a wedding gift from our cousins. So I love pulling this out and using this. So this is just great to just, you know, I keep my pressed linens stored in here, which works well. And then my china plates. So you'll see that my, you know, china is the blue and green, which, you know, works well with my chairs. And then I do love these sconces were grandparents, these old Italian. They've been shipped in over the years, but they still mean a lot. Those were hanging in Mike's grandmother Irby's home in Atlanta. I love choosing art for my home, and I can't imagine ever letting anyone else choose it for me. It's just so personal, and so it's one of my favorite things to do. And if people ask me if I rotate art in and out, now I could never do that. I mean, I'll rotate, and once I buy a piece, it's mine forever. Sometimes I'll move it around or not use it during a certain time period, but I'll always bring it out. But I just love my art collection, whether they're hanging on the wall or they're under the bed for the time being. So this is our bar, and I started with this rule of 3 wallpaper, which I fell in love with. Design Social Studio here in Atlanta represents rule of 3. She's out of California. And I just think it's just this amazing marble wallpaper. And then once I found that, I used this Stifky blue, and I lacquered the bar in Farrow & Ball Stifky blue. And love this around the Moore & Giles leather. This is a little bistro table that I found in flea markets in Paris, which was so fun. And sometimes I'll sit here and have coffee in the morning, or sit here and have a glass of wine while my husband's cooking. But this bar is small, but it is funny when people are here, we all pile in here lots. And again, I love mixing old paintings in with everything. I love these glass blend, colorful glasses. So pretty. Lots of color. So now we'll go into the kitchen from the bar. And this is our very small kitchen. I decided to paint it this Scenic Drive by Benjamin Moore, which I do love. So we tried to renovate this kitchen the best we could, but we realized we've got to make it bigger. We're used to having a big island in our kitchen. So we are about to knock this out and double the size so that we have a large island and just redo it all. But I'm still keeping my green because I love my green. This is an old painting that I got at a little flea market in Italy that I love. We had all these, I hate seeing plugs, and so I got these Forbes and Lomax brass plate covers, which have been so great because I think they're so pretty in themselves. So that's been a nice addition. And then these lamps are from Oka, and these come in different colors. I think these are just the best inventions. I love them, and they happen to work with my green. And this is we were in Sicily, I guess back in like 2019, and this is one of the heads we got from Sicily. So again, just buying things when we travel that remind me of our trips. So we'll head from the bar to the family room. And in here, I actually painted it a neutral color because it needed that. So here I started with, the first thing I want to start with is this tile. I saw something similar to this and looked high and low and found this and so this was kind of the centerpiece of this room. This room is not symmetrical, so it's a real bear to try to figure out how to place furniture. I hate TVs in rooms, and my husband loves them. So to try to distract from the TV, I had these two paintings commissioned by one of my artists, Kay Floral, out of Colorado. So it really kind of draws your attention to those sides, to the sides of the TV and not straight on it. I love this old Italian dog that we've had since we were married, that was passed down. These are lamps from North Georgia artists that Deering Antiques on Miami Circle sells these. I think these are really special. And I love the Cowton and Tout fabric that Elizabeth Graves chose for me. This one and this chair over there, which normally I would not have chosen, but I think they look great in here. And then mix them with all these Peter Dunham fabrics that also are nice. This table is from ABC Modern off of First Dibs, and the guy who owns it, his name is Dean, he's a great guy, and I couldn't figure out what table I wanted in here. And I showed him pictures of the room, and he gave me 3 choices, and this was the first choice, which I think he nailed it, and I love it. So these are just geese that I found. I think I found them on Etsy or eBay. I just love the colors. You can never have too many coffee table books. And I do read my coffee table books often. You'll see that I have a lot of food dogs in my home. Love food dogs. These are old. Those are reproductions. So I think this was not original to the house. I think they probably built this maybe in the early 70s. And I love how it steps down. And then it has these windows, which we kept these windows. We took this room down to the studs because we love the original paneling and trim work, but it just was basically rotting. So we had somebody come and hand make custom this trim work for us. And then we kept these windows, which I just loved. So then I found these shelf sconces and these food dogs because it needed something fun up there. But this is one of my favorite parts of this room are these windows. And so then in here, I use this Casablanca fabric that a lot of my window treatments were designed by Elizabeth Graves and Jennifer Manziotti of of checks and balances. But I think they're beautiful how they designed these. Again, the West Georgia artist who made these lamps. These are by the Ozar, who is the same designer who created the wallpaper in the foyer. So I just used her wallpaper and for these lamps, which I love. And they work so well with the Tony Swarthout painting, which is above my sofa. Who's a gallery artist. This is by Dunes and Duchess. Stacy made this for me, as well as, I have a drink table similar in the same color. I found this at a antique shop in town, and I love always having boxes or containers on my coffee table where I can hide my remote controls. So this is nice to have that. And this is probably one of my favorite pieces. It's very, this was my grandmother's, my grandparents who lived in Charlotte. So every time I would arrive in their home in Charlotte, the first thing I would do to run into their house, and turn around the flower the other way. I love playing with this. So that's just kind of a special thing that reminds me of my childhood and happy times with my grandparents in Charlotte. This is a bronze dolphin umbrella stand, but I love the dolphin motif, and I have that throughout the house. I've always loved dolphins. One of my best friends growing up, her mother had, first of all, she had a gorgeous house in South Carolina where I'm from, and her kitchen breakfast table had a dolphin base, and I remember just loving it my whole life. And she had some other ones. I just have always fallen in love with it ever since. If someone is trying to build their art collection, the best thing they can do is just go around to art galleries, art fairs, and really just see what resonates with them. And when you see something that you love, buy it if you can afford it. And it'll be fun to watch how your styles will change over the years, and that's great. I mean, some people start out with just real traditional landscapes and they eventually move to pure abstracts. But the beauty of that is your art collection has different genres in it, which makes it interesting. I mean, I love mixing old with new, traditional with edgy. The only thing that I don't have in my art collection is I don't want anything that's dark or makes a statement. That's not what appeals to me, and I don't want that in my home, but for some people they do, and that's wonderful. So just, there should be no rules. It's what you really want, and it helps to define your personality and how your personality changes over the years. Okay, so next we'll go into my son's room. Very simple, he loves it. I have the Caleb Mahoney painting, works on paper framed. Gramercy Home did all of my bedding, which I just love everything they did. And in here, I use the Peter Dunham wallpaper. My son has always asked me not to put art in his room. He says, Mom, my room is not an art gallery, but he has not commented on these Caleb paintings that I put in his room, which means that he likes it. That's a good sign, I guess. He said, let's go see my daughter's room. But first, we're passing by this little vignette that I created because as I walk down our stairs, I see this every morning. And so it just kind of goes to show how there's always places for art everywhere. This was my, in my home growing up, so I love the little zebra. But again, just more art to see. These I just picked up from, I was in Morocco in May and picked up these little trinkets, which I love. It reminds me of Morocco. This is by Aaron Clark, which is just a happy painting that I get to see every morning when I walk downstairs. This is to my daughter's room, and there used to not be a wall here, so you would just walk through her bedroom, but we had to create a wall and have this hallway. And so when we did that, her bedroom became a lot smaller. So what I did is decided to make all of her closet, everything built in, so no other furniture besides her bed and this bench. And the starting point here was Farrow & Ball Cologne. I love this purple color that she loved, and she chose this, the wallpaper. And Tilton Fenwick fabric here. I love out here, she has these French doors, so she can open up to the background outside, which is so nice. So in here, again, I love this wallpaper by Lee Rutledge, another painting by Erin McIntosh, and again, brought this Kaluna in here as well. Sarah Quinn is a lot more particular of how her room is decorated, and she wants less color. She wanted the blue and the white. She didn't want a lot of art, but she's more particular than my son is. She loved her new, Gramercy Home did her monogram tiles, which she does love. She's always been kind of scared of the dark, so I bought this for her when she was probably about her age, maybe 10 years old. So I love that little painting that I've hanging by her door. I think what gives a home a soul is having things that really mean things to the owners and the people that live there. Whether that's, a piece of pottery that my son or daughter made when they were 6 years old, or a family heirloom that's been passed down from my great-grandparents, or a painting that I bought in a trip when I was with Mike, and just a wonderful time in our life. Just all the things that I really love. So let's head upstairs to our primary suite. So upstairs is our primary suite, and I love that we have the upstairs space all to ourselves. So next, let's walk into our bedroom. So this was a really fun room for me to decorate because I wanted it to be, a lot of people want restful bedrooms, and I want it to be more showing our personality, be a little more energetic, but it's still restful to me. I started with the wallpaper. You can see the palms, Casa by PC. I love her palms with the third eye in the middle, and it mixed well with this art by Amy Wright, our Australian artist. So this is my husband's dressing room where he's very neat, so he has his own space, which is great. And we added this grass cloth to just kind of warm it up. And this is where Jean-Pierre sleeps every night, right next to him. So then we'll walk to my side. We're both huge readers, so I do sit in these chairs a lot and read a book. And then these are by Coley Home. Great little side tables. Gramercy has great lamps. Mike has asked a few times, when is there too much wallpaper in a home? And I always say never. So I think that's his nice way of saying that he feels like we've overloaded him in that area. He also was not crazy about having a pink bedroom, but I said it's not pink, it's actually more coral, and it has lots of blue. So he kind of goes with the flow. He's a great gardener, so he does the outside, which we'll show you in a little while, and I do the inside. So it's a good compromise in that way. Then we'll go into my dressing room. Okay, welcome to my dressing room. This is one of my favorite spaces in our home. And it's really more than my dressing room. I mean, I use it a lot of times. I'll sit here and work at the desk, which is a beautiful desk made by Dunes and Dutches. And I just gave her my paint color, and she made this for me and my candelabra. And the starting point for this room was actually the wallpaper by Victoria Larson. It's called Sardinia, and I just saw it and loved it. And this room, the angles in this room were just screaming for wallpaper. And it's nice that everything is behind closed doors, my shoe racks. Obviously, I needed a place to put my hanging clothes, but I didn't want this space to ever look messy. So I love that these are created so that I could hide all that. Because when I'm in here, it doesn't matter if it's messy behind all the doors and the fabric, it can still be a very restful space. And one of the things up here that I love is that the doors open up to this little balcony. And so you can just see outside and how pretty it is outside. So sometimes I keep the door open. And this is our primary bathroom, which we added these windows, so it's so nice to kind of look out and be able to see the beautiful trees. And I love just adding in a rug to warm up this space and this old rattan piece. And there's always places for art in your bathrooms as well. I usually put my art in bathrooms behind glass. So it's great to do works on paper behind glass to make sure it's protected. It's very important that we have separate vanities because he's very neat and I'm not. Now let's go see our little guest house out back. So my number one goal for this guest house was for it to be a very happy spot. And I started with this wallpaper by Maisie Path that is the happiest wallpaper I've ever seen. I love it. And found these lampshades from Maison Maison and this Mally Scott fabric. I made this ottoman out of her fabric. And it's just a great little house. It's just made for one or two. This sofa opens up to a bed, and we decided to have a sleepless sofa so that sometimes the kids could be out here watching TV and not have a bed in here, so that's worked out well. And I love that it has this little porch you can sit out and look over our gardens, which I'll show you next. So this garden was created by my husband. He spent a lot of time designing this, and we spent a lot of time out here. Especially on Sunday evenings by the fish pond with the music playing, and it's just been a wonderful spot to be outside. And luckily, again, in Atlanta, we can use it for many of the months of the year. And when it gets a little chilly, we have a fire pit over there that we sit around. And it's just so nice being outside, surrounded by trees and birds, and it's just a happy, good spot. Home for me is being with my family and friends. I love to entertain and to have everyone come over and just be together and have a great time and relax and feel comfortable. And this home, especially since that is our empty nest home, it's a place where I want my kids to come to and for them to one day bring their kids to, and it just to be a happy place for all the Urbies.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.